Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Good Saturday morning to all you happy people out there. Welcome to another edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk. I've got some swag. He, on the other hand, he's somewhat swagged out, somewhat not. I'm Matt Hatfield. He's the coach, Ed Young. We've got some
pajamas.
No, it's not pajamas. It's not pajamas. It's not pajamas.
Tell me, I hope those aren't footy pajamas with the back flannel.
PJs. Look at our brand new. Look at it. We got a bunch of brand new intros for the show. Look at that. Covers, as they call them. Look at that. That one, that one, that one, that one, and even that one, which I know is your favorite. My. Look at that. Us as bobbleheads, little cartoon bobbleheads. Pretty cool. How about that?
Wow.
You can see that throughout the morning. Good morning, sir. How are you? It is 8 days away from Easter, and the national championship in college basketball is in the books. But we have a lot happening in the world of sports, both on a local / statewide / national front that concerns the 757, which has those three numbers in our program. We've got the Portsmouth Invitational tournament next week, which I'll be so delighted and privileged to be helping out broadcasting the games on television live. Did them last year online and globally with the folks at Prep Spin. We have the WNBA draft coming up on Monday. Two young ladies from the 757 that we called their state championship games, Isaiah James of Princess Anne High out of NC State and Janiah J.J. Quinterly out of Lake Taylor High in Norfolk from West Virginia. She was Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year twice. Isaiah James, we know how great she's been at NC State. Both expected to hear their names called in the upcoming WNBA draft, and both may go in the first round. I've seen some mock drafts that have them in the first round. NFL draft, not too far off in the distance. It's later this month. I think it starts like April 24th, like 12 days away. The PITs I mentioned. And I don't know if you saw this part too, Ed. We've got a big fight coming this summer to the Norfolk Scope. We're not talking about you and me, throwing down punches. I know you love to put me in a ring and beat the living tar out of me, right? But Keyshawn Davis is going to defend his lightweight WBO title at Scope this summer, early summer, on June the 7th against Dominican fighter Edwin de los Santos. How about that? So all kinds of things happening. Oh, by the way, NBA playoffs set to start coming up on Tuesday with the play-in. Hockey playoffs not that far of a distance. The Norfolk Admirals have the Kelly Cup coming up. Just all kinds of things. It's a potpourri of sports items.
Pick your sport and enjoy it. It's a lot going on. I'm sad because the college basketball, as we know it, is done for the year. That gets me down. Of course, it's NBA playoffs, which some people who don't watch regular season will jump in for playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. Of course, the start of baseball. It's still too early to get excited about baseball, but obviously if your team is doing well, you get excited.
Not excited when the D-backs can take 2 out of 3 against the Orioles and 2 out of 3 against those evil guys from the Bronx. Never too excited. And like I know you love my new teal hat. Teal. Matter of fact, I'll have to wear the teal hat the next time we get on David Teal. That'd be great. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, teal for teal. Yeah, that would be good. I didn't know what from a distance, I didn't know what that hat was. It looks like somebody was either drunk or blind made the hat when they did it. But, that's yours. So I ain't going to say anything. I did tell you last week, give you credit. You won 2 out of 3 against the Bombers. And I said there's about 9 guys on the D-backs I would love for the Yankees to pick up. One, of course, Martell.
We'll give you those 9 guys. You give us Aaron Judge and – your 3 guys.
No, we can't give you up Judge. I gave you I gave you like 5 guys for Zach Gallen, and you turned it down.
We don't want 5 guys. That's a restaurant down the street that doesn't sponsor the show. Next question.
Some good stuff, though. Some good guys that could help you. Could help you.
You can find a better burger elsewhere. But continue on. Go ahead.
No, but of course, I watched my Yankees look sad last night with the Giants.
I was upset about that. Can I tell you why I was upset about that? Because apparently if you are to go all in on a baseball game and it gets shortened by rain, 6 innings, you don't, let's say, get the winning ticket. As I found out,
Oh, they throw it out as like it never
they
happened.
void that sucker. Yeah, I was very upset about that. Very
That's
upset about
surprising
that.
because it is an official game. So
Yeah, they voided it. At least one. I don't know about everybody, but at least one outfit does that. Yeah, very upset to learn that last night.
I was a little
Very
hot
upset.
with the Guardians messed me up, smacking the Royals.
Oh, well, you shouldn't
That
go
was.
against the Cleveland Guardians and their
I thought,
Hall of Fame broadcaster Tom Hamilton.
but I thought the Kansas City Royals could do something. But obviously, I'll have to pick somebody else today to get my $2.
Yeah, you will. What did you, before we move on, and by the way, we have 3 special guests that we know of at least coming on the program today. We're going to be talking in 15 minutes with James Clark, he of 757 Soccer Chat. You can find her on Instagram, all over the web, on the IG. He's got a great following with that. He is well tuned in to Hampton Roads boys and girls soccer. In fact, I'm going to pull up as we chat here in a second his latest rankings. So he's got 1, 2, 3 in the area. I know he does like top 20s. I think there's a top 10s for girls and boys soccer. 11 o'clock, Chad Edwards. He is the head basketball coach of the state champion Spotswood Trailblazers in Class 3. We called his team's state championship win over Hopewell last month. And he's also the head man, the head honcho of the Basketball Coaches Association of Virginia, the BCAV, a new organization. He'll tell us about that and its genesis and what all it encompasses. And then 11:45 a.m. Eastern, Jermaine Woods, Hampton Roads great, who starred at Granby High in Norfolk and Christopher Newport University. Excited to come on with us. He's the new head women's basketball coach of Behold, the Green and Gold of Norfolk State University. I did not get a chance on Monday to go over there for the press conference. I did see our man Super E did, as did so many others. I know Larry Obama covered it for the newspaper, and some TV stations were there too. But Jermaine Woods, great to see him back in the 757 after previously coaching as the head coach at Coppin State. Also has had assistant coaching stints with Old Dominion, Virginia Tech, and Wake Forest. So we'll be talking with Coach Woods, Coach Edwards, and I guess we'll call him Coach Clark today. How about that?
We could put him in the category of
Yeah.
coach. I would call him the director Clark. He's the director for us of high school soccer. What's going on in the area? Who's good? Team's good. Who's individual good? Who to watch out for as we move on into that season.
By the way, just as I pull it up here, top boys soccer teams, his rankings as of 15 hours ago: Kellam 1 boys, Jamestown 2, Gloucester 3, Great Bridge 4, Princess Anne 5. And on the girls' side of things, I pull that up: Kellam 1, Ocean Lakes 2, First Colonial 3, Great Bridge 4, Grassfield 5. So a trend there. Kellam at the top of both. There you have it. We'll see what he thinks about teams' chances and any standout players when it comes to everything happening in the soccer scene. But as we close the book on the college basketball, which to you, this is something I've been pondering all week, which to you was worse to digest? The way Duke lost to Houston or the way Houston lost to Florida? Because we did get 3 rather compelling games. I wouldn't call them great games because, quite honestly, if you watch the Final Four action on Saturday and then the national championship game on Monday night on CBS, the first half of Florida-Auburn, to me, was the best stretch of basketball. It felt like a couple of teams let wins slip away, in Duke's case on Saturday night and in Houston's case on Monday night. That's taking nothing away from the Florida Gators and Todd Golden's group, their great accomplishment led by Walter Clayton Jr., who's expected to be a first-round pick in the upcoming NBA draft, and Elijah Martin. How about Chris Richard, his contribution in the first half against Houston? Without it, they're dead in the water. They're dead Gators. But it felt like there was more uneven play in stretches, though they were tight games. They were not blowouts, and we had some drama. Which was harder to digest, Coach Young? The way Duke lost to Houston for John Scheider and his Blue Devils and the Duke fan base, or the way Houston, oh so close, leading for all but a minute, I should say, either leading or tied for all but a minute and 3 seconds, the way they couldn't get a shot off at the end and fell to the Gators in the title game? Which was worse to digest?
I'm going to pick Duke's loss. Variety of reasons. Selfish as I had picked them to win it all. I think a lot of people looked at Houston as the weakest number one seed, as all four number ones made the semis. Um, and they had a lead. They had a really good lead. And you don't think of Duke basketball in blown leads much at all. And the way they lost it, um, I think would be more or less the bigger surprise. When Houston got into the finals against Florida, a lot of people said, oh boy, it's a pick 'em, or Florida was like a 1, 2 point favorite. So I think the sting of them losing wasn't as bad, though they had to lead most of the game. And that was kind of tough to watch. Me personally, I had picked Florida over Houston in that game because I had Duke over Florida in my pools. And but it didn't matter to me who would have won. I kind of like what Houston had been doing throughout the tournament, how hard those kids really play. Kelvin Sampson, one of the older vets in the coaching profession, not well liked by many, but at 69 years old, you wonder how many more times he's going to get back to that game. Yes, and Florida came back against Texas Tech. Was another comeback that people were like, what the heck happened there? So it was almost like when Florida played and they were down, if Walter Clayton was hot, they would be all right. And Clayton was not hot in that game, which was surprising. It took him a long time to score, period. And then he kind of picked it up right there at the end. But I don't know if he was the main reason of that comeback. But I would like to think if you polled the nation, I would bet they would say Duke's loss to Houston was the hardest to digest, because I think a lot of people, most of the polls that brackets that I was in, Duke had the highest percentage of people picking them to win it all. So I would kind of think that would be the one.
Well, they were four pretty relatively even teams when you look at Auburn, Florida, both from the SEC, Duke and Houston, all number one seeds. Just the second time we've gotten all 4 1 seeds to the Final Four, the last time being in 2008 when Kansas outlasted Memphis in overtime. But, Ed, I think I'm going to go the other way and say that it was Houston's, because Kelvin Sampson is 69 years old. I don't think he's ever going to get that close again, despite these early, way too early top 25 rankings that mean a hill of beans. I can go get my 8-year-old niece who's in there playing with my touchpad and watching Bluey on TV, and she can do a top 25 and have as much significance and meaning as some of these scribes that are doing a way too early top 25, and they're going to lose some guys, and it's going to be hard to get there. And Houston plays a style of basketball that's different. But I think it's the Cougars. I know Duke was up 9. I know they were up where it looked like the game was over and up 6 with the ball with under a minute to go. But Houston is in control against the Gators, who they've done this already against, coming from behind in the second half. UConn round of 32. Texas Tech in the Elite Eight. Auburn in the last round down 9 at the break. And you got to get a shot off. You got to get a shot off. They played about as well as you can. And to not get a shot off at the end, to me, Ed, is just – it's unfathomable. And I think that one's going to sting for an awful long time. And here's the other thing. Duke is known to get McDonald's All-Americans and lottery picks and 5 stars, whether Cooper Flagg comes back or not. I think he's definitely gone to be the first pick, most likely of either the Washington Wizards or the Utah Jazz, because those are the two frontrunners to get the most ping pong balls, or I should say their ping pong ball chosen for the first pick. But Duke will get back to this spot. Houston hasn't been to this title game since when? You got to go back to Phi Slamma Jamma in the 80s? Isn't that right? So, yeah, I think it's going to be harder, and Kelvin's towards the end of his career. John Shire's at the start of it. It reminds me a little bit of what Hubert Davis and Carolina went through, but again, it's North Carolina. They'll get back. They're a blue blood. Houston, even though they've won the Big 12 lately, there's no guarantee they're going to get that close and have that golden of an opportunity. Golden, as you see, I brought up that name, no pun intended, with Todd Golden and the Gators winning it. I feel like that one is the tougher one to digest, and you're around further, because even if Duke wins that, there's no guarantee they're beating Florida on Monday night either. So you're in the championship game. It's a little harder to digest, even though I think it was more shocking to watch how it played out and unraveled for Duke than how it did for Houston, because the lead was not as large and it happened so sudden and bang, bang in the case of Duke. It was just, staggering how quickly it unfolded for them. So, yeah, let us know what you think on CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're streaming all the time up there, whether it be our show or all kinds of sports items for all of you to peruse and interact and watch with us here on the program. Women's championship game, what'd you make of UConn's throttling of Dawn Staley in South Carolina, who, by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but I understand through some of my sources, we are efforting, and I've been told we should be able to get Dawn Staley on our show here sometime this offseason. So that should be pretty cool. What'd you make of the UConn South Carolina game?
Surprised. I had, and when it all started, I had South Carolina over, it was either UConn or UCLA.
Well, it probably was UCLA on the side of the bracket, yeah.
Yeah, and then as the tournament went on, I thought, whoa, UConn is back to being UConn, even though they beat South Carolina in the regular season pretty bad. And then when Juju went down for Southern Cal, I said, well, that should open the doors for UConn. Got to get by UCLA.
Sure.
And then when I got in the championship, I said to myself, Dawn Staley ain't going to let these ladies forget about that whooping they had by UConn. It ain't going to happen again. It happened again. UConn, to me, just showed Final Four championship game, total dominance. And I think some people slept a little bit on Gino Auriemma as, we looked at everybody else and said, okay, yeah, UConn's there. They normally are. Who cares? But they're not the UConn of past year. Once again, Paige Becker, I think we underestimated, in the long line of UConn legends, underestimated her a little bit because they put a clinic on South Carolina. They did something, in a sports realm where you really beat your opponent, and your opponent is pretty doggone good, if not better than you, and you totally dominated them. Doesn't happen a whole lot, pretty much in any team sport. It's usually a good battle, and then you have somewhat of a close game. And I was telling, I think it might have been you or somebody, I said, if you're kind of in the middle about women's college basketball, the Final Four and the championship game you would not want to watch, because they were all three games were blowouts. You want to be able to see games where it's back and forth, exciting, really good, down to the last second, and say, okay, these young ladies can play. I don't really have that issue. I like women's basketball, I like college women's basketball a whole lot. WNBA, it's not the high-flying, real athleticism of the men, but still, there's a lot of X and O going on. And Gino Auriemma, come on now, 12 national titles.
Well,
he has to be involved. And I've said this before, and I think Dawn Staley too, in all-time greatest coaches, men or women. And I'm not saying gender. I'm saying the men's game, the women's game.
Well, look at the era of coaches he's beaten on these championship runs of dominance. You say, well, and comparing him to what John Wooden did, it's a totally different era. It's different gender. So let's not do that. That's not fair to John Wooden or Gino Auriemma. But he's done it in an era where Pat Summitt was an all-time great coach and legend, Tara Vanderveer at Stanford, Kim Mulkey at Baylor and LSU, Dawn Staley. So there's been other iconic, excellent coaches in his era. It's not like he's just beating up on nobodies here. And you're right, that trio of Paige Becker, Sarah Strong, and AZ Fudd, who, by the way, hails from Arlington, Northern Virginia. She was balling out MOP at that tournament. Sarah Strong, the first to ever have 20-15-5 in a title game, and she was a freshman. She's a freshman, as they say. She's a freshman. Crazy stuff, and obviously Becker's capping her illustrious career with a title finally after all the injuries. Pretty neat story there. We have, before we go to break and bring in James Clark, we have some things to do, by the way, here on the program. You see on the screen, we're giving away 4 2-packs of tickets for the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament coming up next week at Churchland High. I'll be there. Coach Young will be there. All kinds of future NBA players will be there. We're going to give them away this morning here on the program with trivia. We'll do different trivia segments throughout the morning. And all you got to do is comment on our YouTube channel, my Facebook, our Twitter feed, whatever it is. As long as we get that comment from you and see it first, put it up on the screen, or we see it after the show's done, you'll get those tickets, and we just need your name and your email address. Your name and your email address, and you will have tickets available for you either at Will Call or they'll be in touch with you, thanks to the guys, Cliff Sale and the crew at the PIT. So that's coming up here. We'll do one before we go to break and bring in James Clark. Do want to throw out there here, as I see, Bill Walcott asks, we'll talk about this later in the show, short but sweet, can the Cavs bring home the NBA championship to the land? Bill's a big Clevelander out there. We'll address that a little bit later on here in the program, though, so keep that in mind. And our buddy Mark Fowler, we did some games with up there at the state championships for basketball. VHSL Hall of Famer Mike Webb, second winningest boys soccer coach in Virginia history, to Blacksburg's Shelley Blumenthal, is retiring at the end of the season. Only coach chancellors ever known. We'll see if James knows anything about Mike Webb. I know he's focused on the 757, but we'll ask about that as more and more of the great coaches, even on the high school front, are starting to retire these days. So thanks for chiming in there on that, Mark, and a good salute to Coach Webb out there. So, all right, Ed, you ready for our first trivia question before we go to break here? You ready for this? You ready?
Yeah. No, I'm not allowed to answer because we have to have the.
No, you're not. No, you're not. So I want to know the last Portsmouth Invitational Tournament player to be selected in the first round of the NBA draft. And I'll give you a hint. That guy has won an NBA championship. Tell us the last first rounder from the PIT, the last one, and he's won an NBA championship. Tell us who the last one was. There's been more than one all time, but give us the name of the last one. All right? You can, the chat line, hit us up. You get that correct, you win. We've got more trivia questions, though, on the way. We've also got James Clark on the way. He of 757 Soccer Chat. He'll be joining us in a moment when we come back from break as we talk to you on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're all over the web right here on CoVA Sports TV. Stay tuned.
James Catato tells us tonight there's a new team making new noise in the USL2 scene on the other side of the water.
Something special is brewing inside the walls of the Virginia Beach Sportsplex.
We're not here for moral victories. When we're on our day, we're a legit team.
See the stars of the future in pre-professional action at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. This combined season ticket special is for men's and women's. That's 15 games for just $100 for adults and $80 for youth. VBU has a brand new women's team that competes in the W League. Soccer fans, it's time to rally behind Virginia Beach United. Tickets are on sale now. Visit vbunited.com. Don't miss out on Virginia Beach United.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
Hi, this is Wayne Williams of Williams Deloach. I'm an experienced personal injury attorney, and I hope you don't need my services because I certainly don't like to see people injured on a daily basis. But in preparation for that unfortunate situation, your insurance coverage is very vital to your case. Give me a call today. I'd be happy to discuss your insurance situation for you and your family. That's the most protection you have, and you want to have that ahead of time.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. You need John Maynard. PFP, LUTCF, EA, all those initials behind his name mean he's qualified to work on your taxes. He's an ATA, accredited tax advisor. He's an ATP, accredited tax preparer. He's a fellow at NTPI, the National Tax Practice Institute. And if all that weren't enough, he's also been voted the best of Norfolk and the best of Virginia Beach awards. John Maynard has been professionally trained in tax preparation and representation. He brings to the table over 30 years' experience in federal and state returns. He delivers personalized, one-on-one service, and he's a certified electronic filer. The IRS likes electronic filers. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service, 455-6763.
At Atomic Wings, we prioritize real chicken with fresh, all-natural, never-frozen ingredients, all packed with serious flavor. Order from over 15 awesome flavors at atomicwings.com.
I've learned that you should never say no to a gift from a child. Unless that gift is, well, Until next visit, this is Andy Rooney for Wondering Aloud on Poolside Adventures.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
We welcome you back to the show as we're joined by a special guest now from 757 Soccer Chat. You can find him all over the web, and Instagram is his place for all of his updates and reports and items that concern the sport of soccer across the Hampton Roads scene. We say good morning to our pal, James Clark. James, how you been? Long time no chat.
Been fantastic, gentlemen. How we doing? Good to see you.
Doing great.
James, how they say in soccer, how's things kicking?
Sometimes kicking pretty good. It's been an interesting start to the season already. A lot of matchups that have gone topsy-turvy. Very unpredictable. The parity between a lot of the teams that are on the come up versus the teams that have normally been at the top is that gap is shrinking. So it's a fantastic time to be a part of the sport, and it's a fantastic time to cover high school sports or high school soccer in the 757.
Let's quickly recap for those we had you on last year. What happened in the states? Cox boys won the state championship over Albemarle, penalty kicks. You also had in Class 3, Lafayette won a state championship in Class 3 to shut out Western Albemarle. And then on the girls' side of things, when it came to soccer, Kellum girls got it done in Class 5 over First Colonial, took penalty kicks for that one to win the championship.
Correct.
And that was it for the locals. As far as coming back to repeat, how hard is that? What was your assessment going into the season, and any surprises from what transpired to end of last year to the start of this year? What's kind of your view of it all?
This is kind of it. Surprises will be the teams that come up and are going to make it more difficult in the playoffs for those teams that predominantly do well. The teams like Kempsville on the ladies' side, the teams like Ocean Lakes on both sides, they're going to make names for themselves. They're going to pull off upsets and pull results that everyone's not going to see, especially if you are just reading the paper. If you're just looking at scores on Twitter, you're not going to understand that there are things going on behind the scenes at a lot of these high schools, and specifically in the club scene where a lot of these players play, that are allowing more teams to compete against each other at a high level and make it a tough matchup. Additionally, we kind of talked about this before last year, the way that the playoffs are set up, especially in Class 5. You have so much high level competition because there's 13 schools that are in 5A. There's 10 in 5B, and then even the Peninsula in the Bay Rivers district, there's 10 in those districts as well. So putting together things for Class 5, Class 4, Class 3, there's a ton of teams that are coming through that have the ability to, on their day, do some damage to get a result. And when you get to playoff soccer, you're also talking, you just got to survive and advance. You don't need to blow a team out by 5-6 goals to win. You don't need to, get a good 4-2 victory. If you can hold on at a 1-1 for 80 minutes, 90 minutes, 100 minutes by the end of overtime and take it to penalty kicks, you want to take your odds against any of the teams that you might go against.
Got a comment, or I should say a question from one of our viewers, Billy, and a whole bunch of numbers, wants to know who's the best player in the area. You got one player, and that's always a very, you're on the griddle with that question. Is there one player that stands out above the rest?
No. It's a simple answer for me, because and for me, that is a specific thing that I do not do. I don't do players are best in the area. I know that there are certain players that everyone leans to or likes. Soccer is that sport that stats, they matter, but they don't matter at the same time. If you score 8 goals in a match, I'm going to ask you who you scored those 8 goals against. Is it against a team that hasn't won a game all season, or is it against one of the best teams in the area? If it's against a team that hasn't won a game all season, I'm not going to give you, I'll give you a handshake. I'm not going to give you flowers. I'm not going to give you major props for doing that, because you need to do it against the top teams as well. If then you're putting in a couple of goals in a tough 3-2 victory against a Cox or a Lansdowne or a Menchville or a Jamestown, all right, then we're going to start talking about you. Now, granted, players that have continued their dominance over the course of the season. Kellum, I just saw, John Maggio, he's playing really, really well, scored a couple of fantastic goals against First Colonial. Max Cooper up at Jamestown, he's having a great season. Christian Robertson at Menchville, he's committed to Radford, so he's going up there next year. The boys over at Grassfield, Landon Eberly and a couple of the other boys, they've done a fantastic job. We did have, in preseason, there was a penalty kick a bicycle kick goal that kind of went minor viral. And my good buddy Chuck, he got to shoot the match that happened at. So a lot of fun things going on. That's the boys' side. Ladies' side, the Udo sisters at Kempsville, they're a big kind of spotlight on them this season. Ocean Lakes ladies, they perform so well as a team that individuals don't stand out. They've got so many great players there. Kellum ladies, same kind of concept. They've got 6 players already that are committed to high-level schools. If you look across the area, Lafayette's got a couple ladies that are coming back that I'm excited to see once they get back onto the pitch. I think any other, and that's the thing, is kind of because I don't focus on players a lot, I focus on teams. I focus on the collective performances. People throw these questions at me a lot, and I go, it's not because I don't like people or I don't like players. I just don't consider the individual statistics. I guess that's the way I would do my media. I do my reporting. I want to showcase the teams. I want to showcase all of the talent versus just highlighting 1 or 2 kids out of an area where we have 1,000 people. We have 1,000 kids that are playing soccer in the high school season.
Sure. No, that's a fair way to do it. Before I jump in here with you, James, I remember last year that name Max Cooper from Jamestown. He was in that 7-5-7 soccer all-star game you guys helped put on with Chuck and the gang at the Plex, right?
He was, and he played. I believe he played for the upperclassmen team. Because did they have seniors? I'm trying to remember how they did it. I think seniors versus the underclassmen. But
yeah, that's what it was. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know he scored 2 years ago in the first iteration of the game. I don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, he played in it. A gentleman, one of the players from Norview, who got selected. He was actually the boys player who scored the game-winning goal, banger of a goal, and actually ended up winning man of the match for that. And it was one of those genuine moments. And I've had discussions with so many soccer folks over the course of the past year since we put on that event that they've said, it's kind of that expectation where a beach kid's going to get something, or a kid who plays a high level beach FC or a high level Rain is going to, or a legacy player is going to get the trophy at the end. It's going to be somebody that everybody knows. And then it turned out to be this kid from Norview. He was the only Eastern District invite, and he gets the ball 78th minute down at his foot, puts one guy, sends him to the shops for a hot dog. He floats it up and just rips it in the top corner. Keeper had no chance. And you'd have thought he won the World Cup the way that he and the rest of the team celebrated. And then at the end of the game, him and his family coming down, taking pictures. And it was surreal. It was so fantastic. It's why we play the sport and why we want to invite we want to make that event so much more than just inviting the best players around. We want to invite good players, but we also want to bring in talent that is not noticed on a regular basis, that may not have the money to play high-level club ball, because let's be real, soccer at this point has become a pay-for-play sport, just like AAU basketball, just like high-level football. It's becoming, if you've got the money, sure, you can come and be a part of the club, and you can do the travel, and you can go to the tournaments, and you can get the exposure. But people who might not have those advantages in life, they're quote-unquote missing out, because they don't have the ability to have every free weekend to go to Oklahoma City or go to New York or Florida or Seattle for these high level tournaments where all these college coaches hang out and all of these scouts hang out for. Now we have MLS next, we have USL, especially with the USL 2 partnership that VB United has. It's a difficult thing. And when you see that kind of moment where a player who flew under the radar for so long comes in and makes his mark, nothing better.
We saw that just a couple weeks ago, and a couple of players caught our eye that we didn't know as much about in that Mario Mullen Invitational, the all-star basketball game in honor of the late, great Old Dominion Bayside standout who is most recently the coach at Ocean Lakes and passed away this past summer. We're talking with James Clark, he of 757 Soccer Chat. Give him a follow on the Instagram. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on CoVA Sports TV. Ed?
James, I got to ask you, you were talking about players, and I know, as you said, I respect the idea that you don't like really highlighting certain players and all that, but there's one name I need to know, I've heard about. If you haven't, I'm giving you assignment to get on this one. I want to know about him later. The name is Brody Doolin, Smithfield High School.
Yeah.
He was been earmarked for stardom since he was able to roll out of the womb and kick the first ball he could. And despite his dad's shortcoming, Pat Doolin, who happens to be the athletic director at Smithfield.
Yes.
So I need to find out because this kid tore it up in the lower level leagues, whatever. And I kind of thought this kid might be somebody that will be out there. But has the name crossed your desk yet, or put that on the?
They beat Ocean Lakes this week. I think they beat Ocean Lakes this week, James, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe last week.
2-0. They did. That was one of the matchups. That was one of the games of the week that I featured. And Brody and we've chatted before. I chat with a couple of the Smithfield guys because they're regularly in the top 10, top 15 of my rankings, and they should be recognized as such. They're a good team. They always consistently perform. So yeah, Brody has crossed my list, and he's a good player. He had the goal. He had one of the goals of the week last year. Where he had the one from the sidelines. They were playing at Warner Stadium. I want to say it was the War Hill game. And he gets the ball on the sideline, rips one from 45 yards out, goes over the keeper's head in the top corner. So, yeah, Brody and I, we've chatted a little bit. But yeah, Smithfield, they did beat Ocean Lakes this week. That was one of the matchups that I was waiting for because I just dropped my rankings yesterday. And granted, the 757 teams, they put out rankings every week, and they have been doing since the beginning of the season. I like to wait. And right now, right before spring break is the perfect time for me to kind of do it because you get to see all of the teams will play at least 4 games between the beginning of the season and the start of spring break. And a lot of teams even have played 5 or 6 matchups. So you really get to see how they fare, how they play. Are they worthwhile? Do they have the credibility that they were given in the preseason? Or are they continuing their success that they had from the season previously? So dropping my rankings yesterday, that was what I was waiting for. And I put out games of the week every week as well on my Instagram page. So it's at 757_soccer_chat. You can find all of the games of the week. I go through all of the schedules and I pick out 10 from the boys' side and 10 from the girls' side of games that people, if they are fans of the game, if they want to catch a game that they don't have practice that day or they don't have a match that day, they can go to, and they're still going to see high-level soccer. It's going to be entertaining. There's going to be goals. There's going to be drama. There's going to be cards. There's going to be people shouting and getting crazy because that's what soccer is. It's the people's game. So I want to make sure that people have that. And yeah, it was a tough matchup because Ocean Lakes had made some noise. They were trying to bounce back from a loss, and Smithfield kind of went in. It was that night where it rained and nobody really wanted to be out there, and it just kind of from the opening kick is Smithfield kind of just held the game a little bit more than the Dolphins did, and it's going to be a good matchup, or it's going to be a good result moving forward for both squads, because Smithfield now knows where they sit. And then Ocean Lakes also understands what tweaks that they have to make, what needs to be done. Because if you look at the Dolphins' schedule, 4 on the bounce and then losses to Grassfield and Smithfield. So kind of figuring out where you can make the changes. And we actually saw the evidence of those changes because they beat First Colonial on Thursday. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of the give and the take, especially like I said earlier, with the Beach District, with the 5A region. All of those teams, they play each other all the time. All of those players, they play together. Most of them play on the same teams for club ball. So finding the little spots to make a difference, especially for teams like Ocean Lakes who have big goals this year, that's going to be a big deal.
James, I want to ask you too, just in generalities, on the high school level, obviously, is it more important to have a great goalie or that person that pretty much in a one-on-one is going to score? What at the high school level, where do you see the strength, or really it's just immaterial because it is a team sport? Can't rely on one person. But I was often wondered, is it a super goalie or that kid that can really score on people?
I'm biased because I was a goalkeeper growing up, but it genuinely it kind of depends on your team and your system. If you look at teams like Norview, the boys team, they have a striker. His name's Didier Martinez. He was at Granby past couple of years, and he transferred over to Norview playing this year with the rest of those guys. And he is showcasing this season what a true top striker can do for a team that needs a goal scorer. When you have a player like him, and I will liken him in basketball terms to a player like Ja Morant, or maybe even Luka Doncic.
He's not throwing grenades though. He's not throwing grenades.
No. But he's genuinely he's a dangerous player. That if you do not do what's necessary to keep him under wraps, he will hurt you. He will cause you suffering for an entire 80 minutes, especially if you're a defender, because you have to constantly be switched on. If, however, a team is able to play a style of soccer that doesn't allow for that player to get a lot of touches on the ball, that doesn't make mistakes, and doesn't give that type of player who needs the ball in their hands or the ball at their foot, the type of room and the opportunities to do what they do, then it becomes more of a team game. And in that sequence, it's harder for me to say that a good striker is more worthwhile. But having a good goalkeeper, a top-notch goalkeeper, that will win you games as well on the back end. It will never be on the stat sheet. It is never something that you will see. It's kind of how offensive rebounds. I liken offensive rebounds to saves for goalkeepers, the stats and how they're parallel. The more offensive rebounds you can get as a team, the more than likely, the more points that you get down in the paint, the more likely, the more points that you can put up on the board as a whole. Additionally, the more saves that your goalkeepers can make, the better chance that you're going to find yourself in a tighter matchup against even teams that you may or may not be level with. So both are incredibly important. I think I'll pip the goalkeeper just a little bit because they do a little bit more. It's more than just finding themselves at the top and shooting. It's organizing the defense. It's organizing the team. It's being sure-handed and being a team is generally as confident as their goalkeeper. It's why Argentina won the World Cup for Lionel Messi last time that in Qatar, is because Leandro Martinez was a stalwart, confident goalkeeper. And yes, Argentina is full of star players, but when you have a guy at the back that you believe in and that you have confidence in and that you know will not make mistakes, it allows you the freedom to go forward and play in a more free and attacking style, knowing that you don't have to worry that the guy behind you is going to mess it all up.
Good stuff. A few minutes here with James Clark. He of 757 Soccer Chat. Give him a follow on the Instagram at 757_soccer_chat. Our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel on CoVA Sports TV. All right, James, we mentioned it earlier in the program, your top 20s that are out, top 5 on the boys' side, top 5 on the girls' side. You have in both cases at the top of those rankings, Kellum. Boys top 5 as Kellum, Jamestown, Gloucester, Great Bridge, and Princess Anne at last check. Girls top 5, Kellum, Ocean Lakes, FC, Great Bridge, and Grassfield. Two-prong question here. One, best chances for state championships on each side. And two, is there a team on either side, girls or boys, that's outside your top 5 or not as high in the rankings, but you could see creeping up here as the regular season draws to a close?
I'll go backwards with that. Creeping in, Menchville's gonna on the ladies' side, and then Kempsville as well. They are doing fantastic things. It's gonna be interesting to see how those ladies do against the top 3 squads in the beach. So First Colonial, Ocean Lakes, and Kellum. That's going to tell a lot of how their season is going to go. Lafayette, they've got, as I said as well, they've got a couple ladies returning. The matchup between Western Branch and Grassfield, it's going to depend on who wins that game. And I've said it before, and I will say it again, and I've said it on this show, I've said it on other places I've interviewed. Western Branch and Grassfield girls is the best matchup in the 757 for girls soccer. I was just at Kellum First Colonial. I'm going to be at Kellum and Ocean Lakes. I'm going to be at all the top beach matchups and the Eastern District matchups and the Southeastern District matchups. Nothing compares to when those two teams get together. And it's the last 2 years, Grassfield has won in the regular season, and then Western Branch has beaten them in the playoffs to send them home. And even last year, Western Branch went to states because of it. So that matchup is going to determine who's top bear into the top 5 there. Boys side, can anyone sneak in? Smithfield always got a good shot. Ocean Lakes, depending on how they get the results. Grassfield, they've played already Kellum and Princess Anne and Ocean Lakes. Grassfield plays the hardest schedule in the 757 period for any team in soccer, and this year was no different. So it's going to be interesting to see what results they can get in the Southeastern District now. I think they actually play Great Bridge at the end of the season, so we're not going to see that one for a while. But beyond that, they've got a chance if they just keep chugging along and keep getting results. They've got a chance to push into the top 5, especially if Princess Anne or another squad drops off. And then remind me, so the first question.
Yeah, so it was about state championship. Which one has the best shot? It could be someone in your top 5 for boys or girls or outside it. We mentioned obviously the ones that last year won it or came close. What's your feeling right now as we're still, a good chunk of the season before the playoffs begin?
Gotcha. Because we have so many classes and so many classes, so many regions. Class 3 is going to be interesting because a lot of the boys squads are kind of they're in the lower portion of the rankings right now, but a lot of those teams also didn't play many games after Keepers Cup that was held up in Williamsburg on the first week of the season. So they put on a charity event every year in honor of a former player who passed away in a car accident. And it's a huge invitational tournament, almost similar to like the preseason tournaments that we do in high school basketball. And I think I want to say 12 teams on the boys' side, 12 on the girls' side, somewhere in that range. But since then, teams like Grafton and Tab haven't really played a lot. So it's a little harder to judge what they're really capable of. We're going to have to wait to see until Bay Rivers District play starts. On the ladies' side, I'm expecting Lafayette to bounce back. Whether they're going to bounce back to the point where they're going to make a run for another state push, we'll see. That's kind of to be seen. But Tab is also in that mix for the ladies' side. 4A for the ladies' side will probably be the same contenders. War Hill, Smithfield, and Jamestown will be the ones to beat. And whoever is in the unfortunate position of being a 2 seed or a 3 seed, they're going to have to deal with whoever is the opposite seed there in the matchup. On the boys' side, it's a little bit different because Jamestown, Gloucester, War Hill, Smithfield, those 4 squads are all going to be battling for the next 2 months. What it's going to come down to is, can Gloucester rectify the shortfall that they had last year, falling to War Hill as the 1 seed at home to make it to states? And then can Jamestown reverse the result against Smithfield and find their way back to the state tournament as well? It's Jamestown has looked the strongest out of Class 4 for the boys, but we can't count them out. We can't count out Smithfield to pull off something spectacular. We can't count out Gloucester to continue their dominance, and War Hill can be sneaky. Class 5, boys, that's just going to be flip a coin, and whoever wins the coin flips gets to play Kellum. That's kind of, I watched it. Here's what I'll ask you guys. When's the last time that you heard of a First Colonial boys team giving up 6 goals?
Wow. That's what Kellum did to him?
6-0, and it should have been 10.
Goodness.
Yeah, it was.
Kellum's a machine right now. They're a juggernaut right now. I got you.
They are, and they're getting a lot of press. Top Drawer Soccer featured both the boys and the girls squad yesterday, which is great. But with the press and with the attention also comes the expectations and comes the pressure. And so we'll see how they deal with that. On the ladies' side, it's going to be fun for 5A because Kellum is the top squad now. They beat Norfolk Academy. They beat First Colonial. Now it's Ocean Lakes, and we'll see how Ocean Lakes does. Ocean Lakes lost to Norfolk Academy 4-3. And Norfolk Academy is by and large the top 757 private school on the ladies' side. So going to be a fun matchup to see when they play at the Castle in a couple weeks. 5B, because we have so many divisions to get through. Ladies' side, Maury, Menchville, Nansman River. Those are your ones that you're really looking at. Kings Fork currently is undefeated, but I'm going to need to see more because they haven't played anybody. That's that higher level competition for the ladies' side. On the boys' side, it's kind of a toss-up because a lot of teams are figuring themselves out. You've got Norview in there, you've got Menchville, you've got Maury's back on the bounce, which I love seeing for Dana's boys, but they did have a bad result to Hickory right before the break. Nansman River, they're figuring their stuff out with a new head coach getting back into the swing of things, but they knocked off Granby last year, who Granby's trying to figure themselves out with a whole new young team. Kings Fork is 4-1. They're looking to knock off a couple more teams. 5B is, I've said it to you guys last year before the playoffs started, 5B boys is my favorite division to go watch because it's just slobber knocker soccer everywhere you look. There's cards, it's yelling, it's loud, it's crazy. It's what you expect out of a Saturday, Sunday tournament, but you get it at the high school level. And it's my favorite thing to watch. 6, Grassfield Western Branch ladies is going to be fantastic as always, but the Lansdowne girls, they've been making noise. And Oscar Smith ladies, they've actually won 5 in a row. Again, the competition level is a little lower for those 5 wins, but that does fantastic things for their confidence and for their chemistry moving forward. Hopefully they can bounce even further and make some noise in the 6A fight. Boys side, Grassfield, Western Branch, both of those teams are in my top 8. Yeah, Grassfield at 6, Western Branch at 8. Lansdowne, they've been a little up and down to start the season. They've had a really tough schedule, but they've had some good results. They tied with Deep Run, who is one of the best teams in the States at the 6A level. But they also have had some losses that a couple bounces that didn't go their way and should they have, they'd be sitting somewhere with like 4 or 5 wins instead of 2, 3, and 2 like they are. Mm-hmm. So, and then Oscar Smith is trying to get back into it. They did just beat Norview last night, who I had at 15th in my rankings. So last game going into the break, Oscar Smith sits at 4 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. They're gonna have something to say for both Western Branch and Grassfield before the regular season is out.
Good deal. Well, James, thank you so much for the time this morning. Follow him on Instagram at 757_soccer_chat. I'm sure we'll be touching base as we get closer and closer to playoff time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk down the road.
Absolutely. And Ed, go Yankees.
Oh, man. You're a Yankee fan, right?
Yeah, exactly. I saw Matt's post the other day when we had the series, and my eyebrow went up, and I was like, okay, that's one game. But win the other 2, we'll talk.
James.
I try to get him. He did beat us. The Snake kids beat us, I think, 2 out of 3 in New York.
I just hope Chad Edwards is a Yankee fan, because if he is, I can't bear this anymore. All these Yankee fans doesn't know about. Rob Krimmel last week had no idea he was a Yankee fan. Yeah, okay.
Almost everybody we get who's worth something on here is a Yankee fan.
Absolutely.
Oh, gosh.
27 championships. There's nobody can touch that.
Nice talking to you, James. See you later.
Take it easy,
Thanks, James.
Good to see you.
Alrighty. That's James Clark with us from 757 Soccer Chat. When we come back, we do have Chad Edwards of the Spotswood Trailblazers, state champs in Class 3, and he's the head of the Basketball Coaches Association of Virginia. You don't know about that? Well, we'll tell you about that when we come back after a quick word from our sponsors right here. Stay tuned. You're watching CoVA Sports TV.
Did you know that the minimum limits in Virginia are $30,000? $30,000 is a lot of money on an individual basis. But if you're involved in a personal injury matter, that's not enough. Here at Williams-Deloach, we're happy to provide a consultation on the amount of coverage you have in your vehicle. It can be confusing. Not many people understand it. You know you need to have it, but do you have enough? Give us a call today at 757-547-5555 so we can help you prepare in the case of an automobile accident or any other personal injury matter that you or your family may find yourself in.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why there's CHKD Sports Medicine. Advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship. And that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
After more than 50 years of innovation, AstroTurf still leads the way. The inventor of artificial turf does it all, right here in the USA. We engineer, test, manufacture, and install the world's most innovative fibers and turf technologies, with over 30,000 tracks and fields worldwide. AstroTurf, powered by Sport Group.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and that evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And we welcome you back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk, powered by CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel wherever you're tuning in, be it Instagram, Twitter, or X as they call it, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, VirginiaPreps.com. We thank you for doing so on this particular Saturday morning. Edward, we have a special guest with us. He is the head basketball coach of the VHSL Class 3 state champion Spotswood Trailblazers, who beat Hopewell in the title game last month. And again, we were privileged to call on the NFHS network. He's also the president of the Basketball Coaches Association of Virginia, our pal Chad Edwards. Coach, thank you. First time having you on the program, and it's our pleasure. Congrats again. I know you've been doing the championship tour, huh?
Excited to be with you, and still trying to pinch myself to make sure it really happened. It was a magical ride in the playoffs for us.
Yeah, it did happen. By the way, was that the next morning when you woke up and you looked at the clock and you say, no more games, we did actually do this thing? Is that how it went?
Exactly. And, we had years of kind of heartache in the state tournament, and this year everything came together. And I've always said you got to be good, but you also have to be lucky, and things went our way and the ball bounced our way, and we're blessed to come out with the state championship.
You were 57-50 over the Blue Devils, and we'll get into everything you're doing with the Basketball Coaches Association of Virginia in a little bit here, because that's going to be a main focus of our conversation piece today. But when you win a state championship, we can't just let it go without addressing what took place. I mean, you took out the two-time defending state champion in Northside in the semifinals. Got a great ball club as Billy Pope's team, and you've played them over the years with Cy Hardy and Mikkel Harvey. But my goodness, your big three of Cam Pacheco, 23 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists in the title game, and deservedly so, Class 3 State Player of the Year. Tyler Sprague, who came up big in the fourth quarter, and Camden Langridge, who was Ed's favorite, I think, during the broadcast, getting his nose bloodied in the championship game. They really stepped it up in winning time.
Those three seniors were just outstanding, and it was a unique season in that we lost 10 players from last year's roster, and 4 of those we expected as graduating seniors, but then we had another 6 for a variety of reasons who were not with us. So the result was absolutely positively led by those 3 seniors, and then a bunch of underclassmen who completely bought into their roles and checked their egos at the door, and were willing to just buy into very specific roles that we assigned them. And in my opinion, we were just a true definition of a team. And those 3 seniors led both with their play, but also with leadership and maturity and experience off the court. And then the young guys followed willingly with no ego.
Yeah, at 21 Valley District titles, 9 region championships, and their first state championship since 1993, Ed. It was a hard-fought one for Spotswood, but a well-earned and well-deserved for Coach Edwards and his crew.
No question. First of all, Chad, thanks for coming on. We had to wait for a while. I know you did the tour, the parade, and most importantly, your wife had the honey-do list, which was about 7 pages. So you really couldn't sign a whole lot of autographs and parade around, because she was waiting for you for all season long.
Well, as you guys know, families sacrifice a lot. So when my wife gave me a kiss before the game, she said, whatever happens today, it's good news. Good news if you win the state title, and good news even if you lose, because I get my husband back and we can be a family again.
And Chad, we spoke to you after, and your heartfelt emotion during the press conference, in the hallways. You're true to who you are, and being a coach myself, I felt it, and understanding about. You made a good point. Family does sacrifice a lot because you're so involved in your preparation, your scouting, taking kids here or there, opening the gym if somebody wants to get shots up. A lot of people on the outside don't really understand that. There have been a lot of marriages broken up by coaches who are very much into their sport, because it's just the way it is. And if you don't, I tell a lot of young coaches, if you don't have a lady friend, or if you're married and you got into marriage and your wife doesn't really understand that, get ready. It's going to be a bumpy ride, because it takes a special person to also understand you have to give a lot of yourself, because a lot of times your own kids, and that was one thing in my marriage back in the day, I didn't have kids, but if you have kids, it seems like you're giving more to somebody else's kids than your own. And it's just the nature of the business, not because, well, what's wrong with that person? He must not get, no, it's the nature of the business, especially if you're going to get to the top like you did. And the thing I congratulate on is your heartfelt sincerity of that, because it seemed it really bothered you to be away a lot. But at the same time, you've been in the business long enough to try to win that championship, and you deserved it.
Well, thank you. Behind every successful coach, I think there's a successful wife, and definitely supportive wife, no doubt. And my children too. At times you question if you shortchange your own, like you said, to give attention to your players. So truly blessed at my family support over the years, and then that emotion you alluded to. I played at Spotswood, so I wore the uniform, and I was blessed to be able to take over for the father of Spotswood basketball. That's Jim Kramer, who took a program over that had never had a winning season and won a state title in 1993. So we're trying to follow his recipe, and my job is to make him proud. And we're proud of our tradition and our success, but at the same time, I was struggling to get over the hump, and we had some heartbreak over the years, like I alluded to, with last second losses and injuries to our best players, and you name it, we kind of lost games in the state tournament in a heartbreaking fashion. And so to finally break through that door was very emotional, and it certainly means a lot.
I'm curious, Chad, because 10 years ago, hold on a second. Last year, 10 years ago, you guys lost to George Wythe, Malik White, great team in the state championship. You talked about the heartbreak, and Ed's climbed this mountain going back to the 80s at Suffolk High. But sometimes you don't know for sure if the team's going to do it. Was there a point in this season, or even the tournament, maybe even the title game, where you felt like, all right, this is finally the time? Or was it not until 000 that it actually realized and registered with you that this team is going to be that team that does it?
Well, I try not to be a results coach. We really emphasize the process. But some years, little things like brackets and who plays at home and who you draw and some of those things, over the years, some of those things just seemingly kind of went against us. One year we won the region, and our reward was to play 2 or 3 time defending state champ IC Norcom in Richmond.
I remember that, yeah.
And just by the luck of the draw with the brackets and those types of things. And, to win, ultimately, you got to beat people. But this year, those little things, we were able to play at home in the state semifinals, and that certainly helped us. So I do think there was a time in the season where it was like, hey, things are actually bouncing our way instead of seemingly going against us. And then I talked in the press conference, those 3 seniors, the way they talked about a state title and what it meant to them, and sheer determination. They thought it could happen, but it wasn't flippant. I try to talk to our guys about the difference in a dream and a goal. It was truly a goal that they thought could happen, but they were very respectful about, how well we'd have to play and how well everyone have to do their job. And if things go our way, coach, we think it can happen. And that's what was similar about this team and our 93 team is we've had some teams talk about it, but I don't think they quite understood everything that goes into it. In this group, because they were so experienced with Pacheco, Sprague, and Langridge, they knew that, hey, this is, we're willing to talk about it, but it requires a lot. And they emphasize that to our young kids. And that was the commonality between the 93 team and this year's team, in my opinion.
Ed?
Well, and that's the thing I want to know, too, is as you go through this, you mentioned about the luck of the brackets, the draw, and whatever, and yes, those Norcom teams, to play them in Richmond, people, and I know people say, well, you got to beat the best to get to the title. But like I always said, okay, let me pick who I want first, and I'll play that one later. Because, when you get in states, everybody's good. But you also had to run into Northside. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm going to tell you now because you got the trophy in hand. I didn't see you beat Northside. No way. That backcourt of Northside could be quite easily the best backcourt in the state at any level. And Billy Pope knows what strings to pull on that sideline. Had nothing to do with what the hell's a Spotswood. No, because you guys earned it there. Now, when I watched you beat Hopewell, I said, holy mackerel, look at this. These guys playing their butts off. You pulling the right strings. And when I saw my guy, is it Cam?
Langridge, yeah.
Playing the 6'10 dude, 6'10, 250, and he's battling. He's getting whacked in the face, that side of the head, blood's all over the place. Game to stop 3 or 4 times to clean up blood all over the arena. And then your guards executing like they did. I'm sitting there saying, this is why I hate trying to guess what's going on. Northside's good, but they ain't here. And your kids executing, I saw every game. And Matt and I talked about this later. We said, who executed? Who did? I said, Spotswood's execution with what they had against who they had to go to. How can you overlook that? It's just, I admire how you went through that. And as a coach, I'd say, when you were in practice as the season went on, and you said the kids were just determined, those 3 seniors determined, but did you ever have to, quote, crack the whip to kind of remind them, hey, what are we going to do to really get them down the way? Maybe I'm not asking it right. There are times I've had a great team that I thought was going to go to states, and we didn't. And there was the team that won the state title in '87. I had no idea we were going to win a state title with that team. When we won the championship game by 26, I still could not believe it. I thought we lost by 7. Didn't know we were there. How did you feel about that as you went through that season?
Well, your first year at the varsity level at Spotswood is a huge adjustment. My daily intensity takes getting used to. The expectation of winning, you got to get used to that. And then, at the JV level, most teams are trying to build their stock philosophy, man-to-man defense, motion offense, and it's general. And then when you come to us, we almost have to play 2 different ways. In our area, we were successful with pace and press and playing very much up-tempo. And then when we get to the playoff level, we've got to be more multiple and more execution-based in the half court. I think tournament basketball requires that, but also the quality of our opponents dictates that. So there were definitely points during the year. I don't know if I had to crack the whip, but it was more like, hey, understand where I'm coming from and understand where these 3 seniors are coming from with our intensity. And at times our frustration when we weren't playing well, it comes from a spot that, hey, we know how we need to play to be successful, and we need to pick it up. The other part of it is we try to schedule ambitiously out of season. And we had some early season tests against Meridian and EC Glass, and we played GW Danville in the showcase. And to me, that validated to these young players, I can talk all I want about needing to be tougher or our defense improving or boxing out improving. But when you play those quality teams early in the year, kids get an immediate feedback of coach is right. I'm not ready for this. And those kids deserve a lot of credit for hanging in there and dealing with my intensity and the expectation of winning and learning those lessons. And they just got better every single day. And it was one of those things, once we had some success, we beat Western at Western for the region championship. And that win, all of our young kids got a huge jolt of confidence from that. And then our 3 seniors, the message they were delivering in the locker room was, see, guys, we can do this. We can really do this. And so I just think every kid on our roster deserves credit. The young guys for hanging in there and getting through that adjustment period. And then the older guys, some of them would crack the whip, and then other guys would follow that up with a pat on the back and keep your head up and, hey, coach is hard on everyone, and, we're going to be okay. And the way those 3 seniors just complemented one another with leadership styles, I think was really, really important.
Talking with Chad Edwards, he's the head basketball coach of the VHSL Class 3 state champion Spotswood Trailblazers, who beat the Hopewell Blue Devils 57-50 last month at the VCU Siegel Center in Richmond. Our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. And he's also the president of the Basketball Coaches Association of Virginia. If you don't know what that is, you can find them on the web at bcav.net. That's bcav.net. You are the president of that organization, Chad. It's relatively new. Tell us how it all came about, and there's some neat things you and so many coaches around the state are involved with this in terms of All-Star Game, All-State, and so much else that will be coming in the, I guess I should say, days, weeks, months, and years to come.
For sure. I'm super excited about it. If I'm being honest, it's not something that I was really planning on being a part of. And the way it came about is, as coaches, you're always looking for quality events to take your players to enhance their recruiting. And Virginia did not have a live recruiting event. And some coaching friends of mine said you should attend the one in North Carolina. And the way they explained it is it's like an AAU event in terms of playing in front of college coaches, but you travel as a high school team instead of an AAU team. And so I couldn't sign up fast enough, and we participated. And actually Dwight Robinson from Lansdowne's the coach that helped turn me on to it. And so we've been going down there for a number of years, and the organizer in North Carolina said, you guys need to get this going in Virginia. And we asked how, and he explained that in most states it's through a coaches association. So I think we've been going down there 8 or 9 years, and each year Dwight and I would turn a few more schools on to this North Carolina live event, and the more of us that participated, the more we agreed we need to do this in Virginia. So that coincided with the VHSL. They did offer a live period starting 2 years ago, and they explained on their side that they agreed a coaches association typically leads and helps organize the event. So from the VHSL side, and then with the encouragement from the folks in North Carolina, they pointed us in the direction of the National High School Basketball Coaches Association annual meeting. And I traveled down there last July in Nashville, and Ed, you appreciate this. It's the most rewarding experience as a coach that I've ever attended, because every guy in that room shared my passion, if not more. And a lot of times in the school, you're always fighting for your program, and I want to do more, I want to do more, I want to do more. And at times you kind of feel like you're the only guy leading the program. So I went down there, and it's a room full of coaches that were incredibly supportive and had just an immeasurable amount of passion for growing the game. And so in my mind, I was going down there just to learn about doing a live event, and I came back ready to start a coaches association that is multifaceted and much more than just that live recruiting event. In our success in year one, it has blown me away. The guy at North Carolina, his name is Greg Grantham, and he's a former president of the National Association. And he said in year one, Chad, if you can get 100 members, you've had an A, you get a grade of A. Like, that would be fantastic. And we're up to 587 members in year one. Wow. And we're blessed with coaches around the state who share the passion and truly want to grow the game. And we put a lot of thought in how to organize our coaches association. We don't want to be a secret society where 3 or 4 guys make all policies, and a lot of people are not in the know about what's going on. But we've tried to follow the VHSL region model, and we have a region director for both boys and girls in every region, in every class around the state. And those people have done a good job of getting the word out to the other coaches in their regions. And then we have an executive board who's looking long range to try to plan some events and programs. And I'm blown away by our success. We've got 4 major programs. I'm a golf guy, so our 4 majors. In the winter, we think the season speaks for itself. But our winter awards with all conference, all state, player of the year, coach of the year. And for the first time in many, 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 many years, we're going to name a Mr. and a Miss basketball, which I think is really cool. In future years, we're also going to have a hospitality room at the state tournament. Then in the spring, this year we did an all-star game. But what I found at the national convention is All-Star Weekend is what's going on across the country. And it's a way to feature more seniors. And it's we want to grow our All-Star game from year one to All-Star Weekend. And what that would look like is we've divided the states into 7 conferences. And we would task each conference with coming up with a team of 8 to 10 seniors to represent their conference or in their area in All-Star Weekend. And we want to identify Virginia's best. And I think basketball fans across the state would really like this weekend concept. It would allow us to do a nice banquet on Saturday night. And so it would be a 2-game guarantee tournament-style atmosphere to see which conference gets bragging rights as having the best seniors, both on the girls' side and the boys' side. Response for All-Star game in year one was fantastic. I was unsure of what to expect. We had players from Northern Virginia. We had players from 757. We had players from Richmond, Lynchburg, our neck of the woods here in the valley. And it was really a good game. I had a coach come up to me and say it was the best All-Star game he'd seen in the last 20 years. So we were super pleased with that. Mr. Miller from Green Run, I think, was the MVP.
Yep.
Those 2 players really stood out, but those are 757 programs and players and coaches who are supporting the association. So we're really excited about All-Star Weekend. Then the summer, we've got our live recruiting events. For the first time ever, we're going to offer an event. The boys get 2 weekends. In the past, Virginia's just offered 1 weekend for boys and 1 weekend for girls. And then this year, the Coaches Association is going to sponsor a second live weekend. So boys get to take advantage of both weekends, and they don't have to leave the state to do it. So we're really excited about that. And then in the fall, we want to bring back our coaching clinic / convention. Ed, you probably remember that. I mean, it used to be we had who's who of college coaches coming in presenting. We want that to have a convention feel to it. We want there to be classroom breakout sessions as part of our mentorship program for young coaches and a welcome to Coaches Association to explain our various features and products that you get when you join. But we also want to have on-court demonstrations with college speakers, and I'm really excited about that. That'll be in the fall. We're trying to work with college coaches to hear from them on what's the best time to offer these different programs. And that's another thing that was completely not on my radar. In some of the blue blood states like Indiana and Kentucky and Michigan and Wisconsin, their coaches association includes the in-state college coaches. And they say that builds that connection, it builds networking, and the fraternity of coaching. And we've had a nice response. We've got 10 different college programs in year one who are supporting us. We hope to grow that. And we want to hear from them about what how we can promote VHSL players and programs the best. And that's both in season and out of season. And we just got a lot of stuff going on. And, you talked about my wife's list of things to do. She's still a little frustrated with me because the Coaches Association list of things to do, things have been coming at me hot and heavy. And that's a good problem to have. But if I'm being honest, I wish I could have a couple days to savor our win over Hopewell, just Hopewell a little bit more.
Yeah, just page 2 of the 6 pages. And I got to say this, as Ed will jump in here. Last summer, I went up to the Virginia Live event for the first time. I missed it the first year. It was Father's Day weekend. But last year, and as a Diamondbacks fan, I got to go up, kill 2 birds with one stone, watch my D-backs against the Washington Nationals. Then I covered that for 3 days, got tons of content. We did tons of interviews. In fact, ironically enough, Chad, the first interview I did that weekend was with your guy, Cam Pacheco. Maybe that was a good luck charm for him, getting state player here, and you guys won the state championship. But also, right down the road, because my brother lives up there, 10 minutes in a row was Alexandria City, which had the VISAA one, which is why college coaches, it was so good to be at the St. James and Springfield and then go over to the VHSL one. And I got to see 100 teams. And, I do it during the year watching the NFHS if I'm not at a game or I make a trip to a game outside the 757 or inside the 757. But it was a unique opportunity. If you love basketball, it's such an awesome thing. One thing I have to throw at you is it set to go back to the St. James, or is the location undecided yet?
So what we just got word back yesterday, VHSL Live, Girls Weekend, Boys Weekend, will be returning to St. James this year. Okay. We're still working on pricing, scheduling, and some of those things, but we did get approved the location to announce. The dates, the girls' dates, June 12th through 14th, and the boys' dates up there is June 20th through the 22nd. And then the BCAV sponsored event is going to be at the Henrico Sports Center in Richmond.
Nice.
And that's the 27th through the 29th. And those are dates, again, that are set by the NCAA and the National Federation. And that's going to be a joint event with VISA. And
oh, awesome.
We're trying, we get a lot of feedback from college coaches. So, Chad, what we want as college coaches is we want as many of the best players in the state under one roof that we can get. And if you can do that, we will guarantee we're going to show up and we're going to actively support your event. And the NCAA has very strict rules for such a joint event. But that was some of the advice of the National Association at the national meeting was we encourage you to be creative with partnering with whether it be other states or possibly the private schools in your state to get as many best players as you can get. And if you do that, that's what colleges want. And that will benefit your players that are college players because they're going to be playing in front of the most college coaches as possible. So we're really excited about what we have on tap. And as you mentioned, the St. James location is beneficial because it's so conveniently located with the DMV live offering and then the Vista offering also. So I think if you have a college prospect, you no longer need to leave the state of Virginia to maximize his exposure to college coaches. And we view that as something that's very important for what we need to do, our responsibility with the Coaches Association.
That's great. Ed, if you're coaching or not coaching, I'm dragging you up there this year to Springfield for at the St. James in June on the 20th through the 22nd for the boys, and the following weekend to Richmond for the Henrico Sports Center, which we were at on February 1st for the Coaches for the Cure event. Got to watch John Marshall and Woodside duke it out, as well as Hopewell play Verona. And the girls, by the way, for that VHSL live period is going to be June 12th through the 14th at the St. James. We chat on with Chad Edwards, head basketball coach of the reigning Class 3 state champion Spotswood Trailblazers here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, powered by CoVA Sports TV. Ed?
Well, I'm listening to Chad as you're going through it. It's a lot. I'm kind of a little perturbed that you're not really able to sit back a little bit and enjoy your championship and also keep the wife happy by getting most of that list done. But it is a lot. And I'm glad knowing that you're in charge, knowing how sincere you are, watching you in the States and that. I'm glad we got a leader who's really passionate about what we're doing. It's been lacking. I've been in the state forever, and I've always said, where's our association? VHSL Coach Association, Virginia High School Coach Association, is good, but it's involved all the sports. We didn't have a basketball per se association. And I know I came when I was coaching, when I first started coaching Pennsylvania. Of course, I was a young dude out of college. They had one. I was involved in it, but it was a basketball association. And their state tournament in Hershey, Pennsylvania, which is huge, it was similar to the Final Four of college basketball, which I've been to 9 Final Four convention, and it is the basketball NABC, National Association of Basketball Coaches convention, where they have clinics, they have things going on, a multitude of things going on, let alone things for the general people to watch other than the games. There's so much going on behind the scenes. Them first couple of years, the first one I went to Kansas City, I was just absolutely amazed. I just stood around sometimes and just looked around like, what in the world is going on? And so everybody was there.
Yep.
I'm talking all the coaches. And then you had celebrities walking around. And I'm like, I thought this was just 4 games on a 2 games on a Saturday, the game Monday night, and you go home. It's Thursday through Monday. And I always tell people involved in basketball, if you've never been to a Final Four, college basketball Final Four, before you croak, get there. It's so different. The cities is made up for basketball. It's just unbelievable. I wanted that for high school. I saw that and I said, we got to do this in high school. And I remember spouting off here and there and here and there. And they're like, okay, youngster, okay. Yeah, we got that. We have a coach association. No, we don't. That's a general thing that did very little. I mean, it did something, but it did very little. And I think the biggest thing we got to get into games free.
That's right.
But other than that, it wasn't much. You had the All-Star game in the summer, which I thought was good, but I said it's such a disconnect because the season was over 4 months ago. And when you had informed me about what was going on here, I remember I blew up your phone by saying, look, I want to be on 7 committees. I know I'm not coaching, but put me involved because I hope I'll be coaching somewhere. I want to help out. I just want to advance the game. I want to make it like it should be big. So you need help. I told you before, man, call me, whatever. I just want to see this thing going. I'm very glad that you're kind of pointing the fingers in direction is what we go, because we need a passionate leader who's not afraid to lead and say what needs to be done, because it's been missing for years.
Well, so we have a state tournament committee, and what you describe, that's our dream. Now, it's going to take some time to get it that way, and to get it where we can make it come to fruition. But our dream as a committee is to give the girls their own stage 1 week and make that Final Four, or possibly, West Virginia does quarterfinals, semifinals, finals in their 1 week of girls convention. And then the week before or after, the boys would have their own stage. I like the Final Four model, and it's going to take a lot of legwork and a lot of planning, but I really think we can make it happen. And it's going to take some time. I'm going to sign you up for that committee, and I'm hopeful we can make that happen. Some other committees. We want to tap into our retired coaches. I know just in the Valley, we've got so many guys who used to coach, and we want to tap into their wisdom and their experience and get them involved in a variety of ways. And Kirby Dean, who played with me here at Spotswood, he's a retired coach from Eastern Mennonite University. He's going to help lead this committee and organize retired coaches. And in the very least, he says, Chad, I just want to hang out with coaches once a month, in the very least. And then while we're hanging out, we're going to brainstorm ways we can support and give back to the game. So I'm excited about that. We've got a committee to discuss rule changes. Something that I get asked the most about is a shot clock.
Oh, yeah.
And hearing the data at the national meeting about shot clock and how many states are going to it and the pros and the cons and some of those things, along with some other more specific rule changes, that's part of it. And what we want to do is just work with the VHSL and say, hey, how can we help in some of these areas? And I'm hopeful that most of our events moving forward will be shot clock events, and then we can keep data and get some feedback from officials and coaches and players, and then we'll share that with the VHSL, and we'll see what comes about down the road. We've got mentorship for new and young coaches. Ed, as you know, young people aren't getting into coaching like you and I did, and both coaching and officiating. So we have a committee with how can we support coaches in years 1, 2, or 3, because it's tough. Parents, AAU, transfer. I'm hearing NIL type stuff. I mean, it's crazy. It's a lot to deal with. So again, we think retired coaches could help with that. And this year we instituted a program where a young coach could sign up to have a big brother or big sister. And once a week they would check in and just bounce ideas off of each other. We're going to be sharing some videos from the national that are aimed specifically at mentorship for some different almost case studies, dealing with a difficult parent or dealing with a crisis during the season or dealing with injuries, building your program, how you schedule in season, out of season, all those different things. We think that will help keep young coaches in the game instead of them having a bad experience and getting out. Coaches versus cancer. I mentioned our college council where we're comparing notes with college coaches around the state. And then we want to organize some regional coaches socials. And we're targeting specific areas. And an example would be in the 757. If we could have a coaches association leader present and explain to coaches why you should join and what the benefits are. And then we would like to get a college coach to come and talk and network. And it's not something you got to pay $100 to attend. This is more like pizza and soft drinks and bring a friend to church type thing. And we just want that fellowship. I feel like we lost that in a lot of parts of society, especially during COVID. And if we can get coaches hanging out together, I think that's a good thing. And we can come up with a lot of good ideas. And then, my job is I want to do everything I can to better promote the players, the coaches, and the programs at VHSL schools.
Awesome. Ed?
Yeah. It's some good stuff, man. We can go on for all of this. And Chad, you know, if you don't, you know now, this platform that Matt and I have here, will always be welcome on it to talk what's going on. You don't have to wait for us to call you. You could easily let me know, let Matt know, hey, we got some information. I'd like to get it out. Can I come on Saturday? Whatever. That's an open invitation. As long as I'm part of this, I know that's what I'm going to be saying because I'm excited. I'm trying to reserve it because of time and our next guest getting ready to come on to talk about it. And we're going to bring you back shortly to do this. And I told Matt this earlier. I said, you know, I don't usually say a whole lot on here. I let Matt pull the strings, but we get Chad Edwards on a lot this summer because we're going to go over a lot of stuff. I'm excited to be part of this. I want to help.
We should do the show. We should do the show live from the Henrico Sports Center in St. James if Chad and the folks that are pulling the strings allow us to do it. We'd love to do that.
I like it. I'm going to write that down.
There you go. Have us live there.
Yeah, and I agree about getting throughout the course of the year. Our issue is our charter and some of that stuff took a little longer than I had anticipated. So we really got up and running in October, and then we jumped right into the season. And once you get into the season, we're all obsessed with that. So now that the season's over, getting the word out, and especially in other parts of the state, is really important. And there's no one better than you guys. So I would love to come on, even if it's once a month, and just update and share names of award winners and what's on tap and that.
We'll make you a regular guest. We'll make you a regular, and it's great for the whole. Like you mentioned, we got a college coach coming on who coaches girls basketball. Used to coach both men's and women's basketball. Jermaine Woods. It's great for the college coaches to get involved with this. I got to get one more here before we let you run and go to break because we have bills to pay and things to do. You are a golf guy, you said. So who's your Masters pick this weekend?
So my fantasy pool, I've got DeChambeau, I've got Rose, and I got O'Berg.
Oh,
so I'm looking really good.
Zalatoris. The Zalatoris is out. Okay.
I'm looking really good.
All right.
I got. So I did right. I got Sam. What's his name? Sam Bobo.
What's his name?
Okay. Yeah. I got him. I put $1 million down. So Chad, I'm going with what you're saying. Who was that third name? I think I got him on my top 5 list.
Ludwig Oberg.
Okay, I just picked him out of the sky, and I threw. Tell me, does Rory McIlroy have any chance?
He does. That's who my son has. So he's rooting for.
And
Rory.
I'm about to cash in. Then I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Hey, I got one more question.
That means lunch is on Ed. Go ahead, Ed, because we got to run. We got to run here. So
yeah, we got to get out of here. Tell Matt you're a Yankee fan.
Oh no! Don't tell me that.
Matt, you don't want to hear this.
Oh, no.
Jim Kramer is the biggest Yankee fan that I know.
Oh, Lord.
And when I take my kids to visit Coach Kramer, they think it's a Yankee museum. So
I got to go.
By default, I'm a Yankee fan. If I'm being honest, baseball's too slow for me.
Oh, gosh.
But when I tune in and I do root for anyone, I have to admit it's the pinstripe and the Yankees.
Well, Chad, it was nice knowing you. We got to run. We'll talk to you some other time.
Try to tell this joker over here wearing his Arizona D-back pajamas.
We don't have time for
pajamas.
And
got to go Yankee.
If you ever need a guest to talk Yankees, call Jim Kramer. It's unbelievable.
Oh, gosh. Ed's going to have him on the first guest next week. But all sincerity, Chad, thank you so much. Congrats again on the state championship, what you're doing with BCAB. It's fantastic, and I'm sure we'll be talking with you here sooner than later.
Sounds good. I really appreciate the opportunity of being on, and your kind words mean the world to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
Talk to you soon, Chad.
Take care.
Chad Edwards, our guest here from the Spotswood Trailblazers, state champions in VHSL Class 3 basketball, and also the president of the Basketball Coaches Association, newly formed of Virginia, 500-plus members and counting and growing. We'll take a quick timeout, and we've got Jermaine Woods, the new head women's basketball coach of the Spartans of Norfolk State. Behold, the green and gold. And we'll find out that, thank God, hopefully he's not a Yankee fan, because if he is, I'll just put my head in the sand. It's coming up right after this here on CoVA Sports TV. Stay tuned.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk.
Usually it's Hatfield. That's why I try to tell everybody, get on Hatfield. He is the legal scribe, the talking head that knows all this, puts the whammies on. We do things different on this podcast. That's why we're rated number 3 in the state.
You got Play-Doh? Get out of here! We got people all over the globe watching with us. Sitting in a phone booth with you would be very...
well, no, we got to have your own phone booth. I'm not sitting in no phone booth with you.
It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why parents count on CHKD Sports Medicine, advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries just for young athletes like yours. With convenient locations across Hampton Roads and a whole team of experts here to keep your favorite player at the top of their game. CHKD Sports Medicine. Learn more at chkd.org or call the CHKD Sports Injury Hotline.
CoVA Painting. We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit covapainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 meal deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
What does happiness mean to you?
Being in the ocean with you, watching you catch super fun waves.
In Virginia Beach, happiness is breaking barriers and savoring the sunshine.
I couldn't pick a better place or a better person to be with. This is what makes me happy.
Happiness is going all out.
And taking it all in.
Here, happiness is whatever you make it. Find yours in Virginia Beach.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
We welcome you back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk, powered by CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe wherever you may be tuning in here, be it IG, Facebook, Twitter, X, Virginia Preps, and on our CoVA Sports TV YouTube channel all over the globe. We now have a special guest with us. We're delighted to have him back in the 757. He is the new head women's basketball coach of the Spartans of Norfolk State University. Behold the green and gold. We say hello and congrats to our pal, Jermaine Woods. Coach, good to see you out there. You're rocking that NSU gear, and I know you're glad to be back in the 757.
Man, happy to be home. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you great. Can you hear us?
Good. I got news for you, man. I hope you don't hang up on me, man.
Oh, no. Don't you dare do it. Don't you dare do it.
I'm a Yankee fan, man. I'm sorry, man.
No, you're not. Oh, gosh. No. Not only. What's up with this? It's like the Yankee bonanza here.
It's funny when the last coach up here, man, just said the same thing, man. When I watch baseball, it's the Yankees, man. You know, I used to enjoy going to the O's games at Coppin State, but, you know, I'm a Yankee guy, man. Sorry about that, Matt.
No. Ed, you've poisoned everybody, Ed, with your Yankees.
Hey, I don't even tell these guys. They just speak from the heart. I keep trying to tell him, Jermaine, Yankees, 27 titles, Hall of Famers galore, Aaron Judge. You know, I respect the D-backs. They beat us 2 out of 3.
Don't you call us a minor league baseball team? You don't respect us whatsoever.
You know, I got to stop doing that. You guys have been the best AAA team in baseball, but move you up a little bit. You know,
this is what I put up with, Jermaine. This is the nonsense I put up with. I have to keep reminding him about 2001.
Hey, I'm not the one wearing Yankee satin pajamas like you are in your whatever.
Well, it was 9-1 last night in the rain, but we got to talk basketball with Jermaine. We ain't got time for this nonsense.
Yeah, hey, Jermaine, it's great to have you on. And from me, when I heard the rumors, because I tried to start them, that you would maybe come back and be, to me, it was home run. It was done with. Don't interview 18 people. Don't hire a consulting firm to find us a coach. You had a guy who knows the area, who's been around other areas, who is passionate and who can, and Larry's done a great job there. He's put them on the map, especially when they knocked off Auburn and it got him the job at Auburn. I said, they bring in Woods, done deal.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It means a lot, man. Just thank you for having me on. It's kind of full circle. I remember I came on a few years ago when I got the job at Virginia Tech, and I think you guys had me back on when I got a job at Coppin State, and that was full circle back around, and you guys having me on with the job at Norfolk State, man. And, I always appreciate you guys covering me, man. Matthew, you done a great job covering me as a high school coach. And then obviously, you were a high school coach, and then when you got to the radio, you guys always had me on. So thank you guys.
We appreciate that. And you don't have to remind Ed about those days when you were helping out D Nice at Booker T and beating them in the region championship.
I didn't say it, Ed. I didn't say it. That's Matt. Matt started trouble.
Hey,
Ed.
I do. That's what I do.
Hey, see, he thinks it bothers me because I get on him so easy. But, hey, y'all deserve it. You got it. It's part of the process and growing, so I don't really have any problem with it. I've won my share games, and I'm not done yet. If somebody gives me another chance, I'm going to win a few more.
There you go.
In all seriousness, though, Jermaine, when we've had you on, we appreciate always coming on whenever we ask. Even during the pandemic, we had you on to the Zoom. I'm fascinated to learn, though, from you, from all your experiences, the high school realm. You played at Granby High School, was a star there. Yeah. Christopher Newport University, saw the archival footage that our friends at Wavy put out this week when you played. That was classic. And all that you've been through, the times with Old Dominion, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, you go to Coppin State, you turn that program around, you get to the WNIT, now you're back at your alma mater, Norfolk State, and you've coached with high school legends like Darren Centerland and Jack Baker. What's the biggest thing you've learned on this journey that you can apply moving forward, but also embark and empower on the younger coaches that get in this? Because they want to be that Jermaine Woods one day, and you wanted to be in this spotlight, and now you have this opportunity. What's the biggest thing you've learned during this whole journey?
I think being a high school coach and starting from the roots of everybody, all college coaches say they started from the roots, right? Because they started as grad assistants. Well, I really started from the roots. I started as a JV coach. And I think that's the best experience I've had. I think learning under Jack and Darren and my high school coach, Lonnie Blow, who coached me, David Floyd, has really helped me grow into the man I am today as a coach, man. And I learned a lot from those guys and how to treat people. We really are no kids left behind. We had to take the kids that came to our school, for the most part, right, and coach them up and learn how to be teachers. And I think as a high school coach, you really are a teacher. You got to go from your brain to the board to the court. And I think that's the most important thing I've learned, how to be a teacher. And so, actually, I taught math for 8 years, man. And so I'm a teacher at heart. And I think that's the most important thing I learned, man, is just how to be a teacher and teaching the game. So it translated well. So my high school experience is the best experience I've had of any level.
Good stuff, Ed.
Jermaine, you just hit it. I get in this argument with people, too. As a young coach, my aspirations to get to the college level, I thought you start at the high school level and you work your way up. Kind of found out it's not really what it is. And I even tell young coaches now, if you're going to be maybe a college coach, you start like as a grad assistant. But I don't ever back down from the background because, as you said, we're teachers first. We're in the classroom. A lot of those guys that were grad assistants, they don't understand that. And the thing that you hit as I'm listening to you speak, being under Jack, Dave Floyd, you're bringing up Dave Floyd. We haven't heard Dave Floyd's name mentioned in a long time. Darren, you guys, especially in Norfolk, and I had 6 years at Norview, you got to take kids that you got to be coach, dad, maybe mom, uncle. They're going through a lot of stuff.
Yep.
A lot of those college dudes don't do that. Like I made a joke one time. I said, can you see Bobby Knight trying to coach high school basketball with everything involved? He'd last maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be able to do it. And that's a lot of those guys because of what you have to do. That's why I'm excited for you in terms of getting a position because you pay dues. You work camps. When I tell young guys, I spent 6 weeks of summer up and down the East Coast working camps. They look at you like, what?
Yes. Yes.
That's how you got in. That's how you got known. That's how you made your mark against whoever. It wasn't traveling AAU ball, playing in air-conditioned places, whatever. It was working out at 5-star when it was 100 degrees and the chairs were sinking into the macadam, and we're still playing.
Yep.
that kind of stuff. And that's why when Matt asked you that question, I was really anxious to hear what you live, because you have put dues in. And that's a statement us veteran coaches we're real big about. What dues do people pay to get what you got? Because there's a lot of people getting positions who really don't deserve it. And it is what it is. You just deal with it.
Yeah,
You and I
it's
know.
hard. It's hard, Ed. Like, people don't understand, like, how to pay dues though. Everybody, we're in a microwave society now, and everybody wants to run fast. They think because you win a championship or you got a bunch of high school wins or whatever, you deserve to get a college job. That's not how it goes, man. You got to get yourself out there and work those camps and go to these schools and humble yourself a little bit and put yourself in a situation, to be successful. And I did have a good AAU program, you know that. And but that was on the boys' side, and I'm a women's coach, and so I think that David Floyd taught me discipline. Then Lonnie Blow, taught me X's and O's and how to be a better man. And then I get with Darren. It's the workouts, it's the drive, it's the passion, it's the vision. Then I get with Jax, man. It's X and O's and how to be the politic part, right? And how to be and how to make your way through this thing and how to be around people and what to say and what not to say. And so I had it great. And so, I give those guys the credit for my success, and I've been around, and I've been to college 12, 13 years, and I'm still giving those guys the credit because that's where I've grown the most at that level. And then I will say Karen Barefoot taught me the recruiting piece because she let me do it. She let me be a recruiting coordinator. And that's when I learned in college of how to recruit. Recruiting is just not talking. It's about knowing what to do and when to do it. But high school is my foundation. I'll tell any guy who wants to be a college coach, first think about it, because we're like ducks. It's smooth on top, but underneath, man, we're going 1,000 miles an hour, and people just see the results. They don't see the work. So, and a lot of them are finding out really fast, man. This is a tough business, but I've grown in it and I've done it my way, and I've been myself, and I think my high school roots have helped me at.
No doubt. The genuine authenticity is there for you, Jermaine. I want to throw in here one quick before Ed gets back in here. It's changed a lot since you started coaching college basketball. Obviously, the NIL, the transfer portal, and you've been at different stops. You mentioned Karen Barefoot will be on the show last year with her book that came out and used to coach at Old Dominion, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, but in the ACC, you take Coppin State. You actually came down here a couple of years ago, played Old Dominion. I say us because I did some of their broadcasting. I've done their broadcasting the last 4 years. What's been the biggest thing you've had to do in terms of adapting from your start at the college level to now? What's been the biggest adapting element for you?
I got lucky, right? So I started at Virginia Tech and Old Dominion and Wake Forest. We didn't have this collective and NIL. This happened when I was at Coppin State. But you don't choose an HBCU for what we have. You choose us for who we are because we can't pay you that money. So I don't really have to compete in that realm of giving hundreds and thousands and 300 and 200. We don't do that. And so we got to recruit kids that want to understand the culture and what we do and what we can offer you, a family atmosphere and a hands-on education and practical. So those are the kind of student athletes I recruit. I don't really have to go after the big names and because we don't have that, right? And so I won't say it's easier here because we still want to put a good product on the floor, and so we go after young women that can help us to be successful. But they know when they come on a visit. I'm on a visit right now. We at the Egg. She knows that we can't give her $50K, $30K. She knows that, but she still chose to visit. We got a commitment last night from the leading scorer. I can't say the university hasn't signed yet. I almost got in trouble. From a leading scorer from another university. You know what I mean? So she's a leading scorer, and she didn't even ask about the money, right? And so because she liked the culture, what we had, they had a step show, activity hours. She saw the culture and she wanted to be a part of it. And so for me, it's still old school, man. Come for who we are, not what we have.
Ed?
Yeah, Jermaine, again, with this, the portal and collective and all that, it is coming into play. And Matt and I had the opportunity to attend Michael Vick's press conference for getting the football position. And a lot was talked about money, even on the sidebar conversations that, okay, you got a name, Michael Vick, NFL, all that. That's nice. But the way it seems, it is about money. And I'm not stepping on your toes because I know it's culture that you're talking about and you're bringing in. How, and the thing that makes me mad about all of this, and we could talk hours upon hours about all this, is it looks like the mid-level down has become farm system for the big people, because you're going to have a great players at Norfolk State. You're going to win big games. And now you're going to have to throw a blanket over your better players because people are going to say, how much you making down there?
Yeah.
What? Oh, we give you $1 million right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's some as coaches back in the day. It was under the table, people giving you some stuff, but not everybody could do it.
Yeah.
But now it's almost automatic. And I've heard people even say that in this year in the tournament, both men and women, that those smaller schools that come in there and they upstage some people, all of a sudden you're kind of, putting out a dress rehearsal for a team that might take you.
Yeah.
Like Larry got taken by Auburn. Okay, there's an
Yeah.
example on the coach's side.
Yeah.
Okay, so how, as you look at this in your years of doing it, and now that you're going to be, like I said, we know you're going to win at Norfolk State.
Thank you.
How do you really sacrifice it? Do you have to kind of go behind the scenes and say to the alumni people, whatever, hey, look, the Norfolk State history and all that, it is tremendous, but we need a little bit of more money. How do you do that? How do you attack that?
Ed, you hit it, Ed. You hit it. I can sit here and act like that we don't have to have money, but I'll be lying to you. And so we don't have the money that other schools have, but we got to get a little bit of money, right? We have to. But we have to embrace that we're going to lose some kids, though, because we're not going to be able to afford to keep them. That's just a fact. All right, Coppin State, my best player was a senior. She graduated. My second best player, who's first team All-Conference, first team HBCU All-American. She came to my office before I got the job at Norfolk. She said, Coach, I love you. I just want to see what I'm worth. And I respect it. I accepted it. And right now her biggest offer is 80 grand. She come from Coppin State. Before us, she didn't have that name. And now she got an 80 grand offer. Well, I can't give her 80 grand in Norfolk State. And so that's what you're saying. We did well, right? Most wins in Coppin State in 20 years. First postseason in 15 years. Most non-conference win in history. When that happens, guys, all the high major eyes come down. So now they don't got to recruit high school. They recruit all kids. But I accept that. And if you don't accept that, you're going to get around this business. And so I got to accept the fact that we are a farm system, right? We're kind of the JUCO of the NCAA without being the JUCO. And we're going to lose student athletes every year. And people ask me, why do I get graduate seniors? Because they already seen the mountaintop. Now they get to come down and see the culture of HBCUs. And that way I can't lose them, right? But I only got them for 1 year. Same thing if you get a good freshman. Every year since I've been at Coppin, my best player has left for money. Every year. And we still managed to have success. But I embrace the fact that, all right, got under-recruited.
Oh,
I'm sorry about that. My bad.
We're
We're
good,
going to, let me put on Dr. Sturz. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that.
We got
You. We good?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
We lost your video. You're about to come back, I think, though. Hang tight.
I'm back.
We got you. Go ahead,
guys.
Yep, we got you.
Sorry about that. I had to put on Dr. Sturz. So every year we're going to get that, man. We're going to be, Coach Jones said it, right? And I'm just telling you, we're going to have good players this year. I'm going to lose them again. Like, I'm just going to do it. And so it sucks, but it's the reality. And you can't blame the student athletes, though, Ed. You can't. I can't tell that kid to not go take 80 grand when I probably can give her 20. It's no way possible. Now, I can tell her, be careful where you go, because that might be the last 80 grand you make. And if you want to be a pro, then you might could take this 20 and then you can make 80 later. Or you could take 80 and just make the 80 and see what happens. So it's a lot of bad decisions, a lot of bad people. Ed, Matt and Ed, that's where the point comes to being a teacher. We guide our student athletes in the right direction. Ed, you were so phenomenal with your student athletes. I just watched you from afar and how you had discipline, structure, and they love you. No matter if they're black, white, whatever, you just embrace it. And that's who I am. I'm still that same guy. Old school, high school coach that wants to do good by our student athletes. So whatever's best for them, man, I'm with it. It sucks, but we're going to be a farm system, Ed. That's not going to change.
Well, now, if you have the power, Jermaine, to say, okay, and I'm not against paying the kids either. I mean, those colleges are too long, making big money off a kid, putting their name on a jersey, selling the jersey, and the kid don't get a dime for his name on a jersey?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't have a problem with that. But I think there's we got to put some kind of things in there. I know you probably have some idea and maybe what you've heard in the rounds. What do you think about how that could be fixed a little bit?
It's going to be fixed, Ed. It's going to be fixed next year, I think. They're going to put a cap on it next April. I don't know what the cap going to be, But something's gonna happen next April, and that's why you see a lot of these. If you notice, a lot of male athletes are opting up and going from the junior class to the senior class, the top guys, because next year they're trying to put a cap on it. How that's gonna work, I don't know, but we have to do something to regulate it. I'm not smart enough to figure out how we got to do it. I haven't thought about it, but it has to be something. Ed. Like it's getting out of control. What today, right? Last night I'm watching Sports Center, and the Tennessee guy left 2.2 million or 2.5 million on the table because he wanted 4 million. Guess what, guys? He's gonna get that 4 million.
He is.
He's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. And so now we in the wild, wild west, man. And you can't really blame the student athletes. We should have all seen this coming. I tell you what, Dennis Wolf at Virginia Tech. Dennis Wolf told me a long time ago. Dennis and I had our differences, but one thing he told me: save your money, invest, because college athletes is gonna get out of control. And this was in 2015, 14. He was right, man. He called this, man. He saw it. And it's a shame that we didn't have the foresight to see it at the highest level, because now we're playing behind, right? Behind the pitch count. And we're trying to catch up to it, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. So like you said, Ed, I'm with this student athletes getting paid. I'm not against it at all. I think they should give it deserve, but it has to be some kind of rules and regulations like it is with everything else.
Last one for me, and we thank you for coming on the program. I'll let you run here in a moment. Jermaine Woods, new women's basketball coach at Norfolk State, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. You got to start in the 757 at Granby High, playing for the one and only Lonnie Blow, and then on at Christopher Newport University. Coach, the roster construction now, it's so tricky because you want to have those upperclassmen players, those ones that experience and are seasoned. But I know for you, your roots in the 757 and recruiting local talent also matters. Give me your sense, because I can't imagine you're not one that's going to have a roster without players that have some homegrown elements, and you know how good the 757 is in terms of its high school talent and the players from our neck of the woods. But give me your thought on how do you build a roster, because you see a lot of times now, unless you're that top-level high school player, some fall through the cracks and are taking more of the veterans through JUCOs, the grad transfers. What's your view of roster construction, and has your thought at all changed in the last couple of years in doing it?
Yeah, I want to have a mixture, right? Like, so even at Coppin State, I had 2 freshmen on every class. I definitely want to bring in transfers, because in order to be competitive, you have to. I don't have a choice. Like, I have to bring in transfers. But then I want to get in this area, man, in the local area especially, and get these young women who aren't getting opportunities that can play, they can compete, but then they have a chance to grow. And I think they have to understand when you're coming in with transfers, it's gonna be a process. If they can stick through it year 1, year 2, they'll be okay. But I'm challenged this year with a roster reconstruction. Norfolk State has lost a lot. Like you said, Larry did a great job. One of probably the best mid-major team, or one of them in the history of college, women's college basketball. And so I'm challenged right now to bring in 7 or 8. But I have to continue this winning ways. So, I'm going to build my roster with transfers right now. But then once I get my feet in the door this first year, I'll get back in the high school, because the 25 class is kind of over right now. So, we'll start with that 26 class, bringing in 2 per year. So I'm going to build my roster, with freshmen. And then when the transfers leave, I'll have those freshmen. Hopefully they stay. And by the time they're sophomores, they can help us win games, even when you're losing people. And I think that's how you stay above ground.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds for you at NSU. I'm sure you'll see our faces at a few of the games, and supporting you on this journey now back at NSU. Jermaine Woods, thank you so much. Despite being a Yankee fan, we still love you and like you, and I'll rock with you. We'll talk with you down the road, my friend.
And happy to be home, man. Thank you guys for having me. So excited for this opportunity, and behold the green and gold.
There you go. Jermaine Woods, the new women's basketball coach at Norfolk State. Thank you so much, buddy, and we'll talk again soon.
Guys. Thank you always.
Thank you. Thank you now.
Jermaine Woods, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on CoVA Sports TV. You just love the genuine authenticity of him, Ed. I mean, we say he's real, but he's real. And I think that's why he's done so successfully on both the boys' side, then men's, now women's side, coaching at the collegiate level. And I do think he's gonna figure it out. There might be some bumps. There are always some bumps along the road, but he's gonna figure it out. You can just see he's got that drive in him.
Yeah, there's no doubt. His passion is unquestioned. I mean, from the first time I met him way back and coaching against him, he has it. He has a drive to him too. And he has taken that, and he's been successful on a college level. And like I said, he has the roots around here, but he's spaced out a little bit. Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, Old Dominion, head leader at Coppin State.
Mm-hmm.
Norfolk State did a great job in selecting him. I mean, they're really batting 1,000 on their hiring. These last few coaches that they're bringing in, and of course, Coach Jones with the men's team. They just got to keep making sure they hold on to him because he's in demand.
Really high-profile names. I mean, you think about it, football with Michael Vick now. That's a big profile name you can have. You've got Robert Jones, who's been a consistent winner, one of the best mid-major coaches in the country, bar none. We can say best coaches. I need him. Saying mid-major is almost a disservice to that. He's one of the best coaches in the country, bar none. And Jermaine Woods, who turned around a Coppin State program that people hadn't even really heard of, and now he's got 7.57 ties, and he's won pretty much. He's a proven winner. So, yeah, I think they got to be thrilled with what they've got on their coaching.
And the thing to say about Jones, and we'll probably say this about Woods, I got a strong feeling they're winning despite the new situation,
right?
Because we've said it before, whether people like it or not. You're not going to hold on to those kids very long at mid-level or lower-level D1s. It's money game. It's just what it is. I don't like it. And he said the right thing. If you don't embrace it and know how to work it, you won't be in it long, which is why you see some of the veteran guys step aside. They didn't want to deal with it, and you got to embrace it. Rick Pitino embraces it. You go out and get the players. And if you can get them for 1 year, it is a junior college type coaching mentality. Because in junior college, you're going to have a kid 1, maybe 2 years. We have the 2. And if you can get a lot out of them, fine. And then you try to bring in that next one, That's what the 4-year programs at the smaller levels have become. It's going to be hard to keep your better kids.
I agree with. We saw Lolo Burris and watch Notre Dame's Elijah Burris on Peacock, son of Plaxico Burris, and the son of Jerome Bettis in action today. Plaxico started Greenwood High School. Bill says the over the back call did not like it. I agree, but Duke's got to execute better there. So I'm with you to an extent there, Bill, but I don't love how that unfolded in the sense of Duke could have prevented it coming down to that call. And I can't feel too bad for Duke the way it unfolded when they had that lead and it was right there in their grasp. And Flag could have gone to the basket and got it back and got to the foul line there. You got a quick thought before I go to our next trivia question? We go to break.
I agree with that last statement, and I'm speaking as a coach. If you got a chance to tie a game and go into overtime, do it. This idea of, they were tough. He went for the win. He spilled his gut. Go for the tie. Go into overtime. Things can happen more. You miss that all or nothing shot, and you miss it, and now that hurts. And then now you second guess. But that's one I would say. The over the back call, we could be picky on almost every call in the doggone tournament. There were some crazy calls.
Yeah.
I thought when I saw I didn't see it live, but then I saw the replays and whatever. If you look at the play, I forget who the kid on Houston was. He held Cooper Flag.
JoJo Tugler. I think it was it JoJo Tugler or was it Jawan Roberts? It was either JoJo Tugler or Jawan Roberts, one of the two.
But he's holding him. That foul should have been called right there, holding to keep, because you cannot extend your arms and boxing out somebody and wrapping them, and that's what happened. So you can go either way on that, and I don't think it comes down to the one play, because like I always tell our kids, if we lose a tough game by a couple points, and kids are like, well, so I missed a free throw or that one call. No. It's what you did throughout the game. It's what you did throughout the game. Duke was in a situation shooting 54%, that they were just beating people pretty handily. Little things weren't bothering, whatever. Now they get in a situation where, this ain't working. We're not shooting as well. What do we do? And sometimes that's the end result of that.
When we come back, we have to tell you who our winner was for our ESPN Bracket Challenge that we did for the NCAA basketball tournament. We have a winner, and he's not from the state of Virginia. Ed's going to be really intrigued to hear where our winner is from, his name, and also the runner-up. We have not gotten who the third place person is yet for the T-shirt to claim, but we'll get those prizes out for that. And we've got trivia still on tap for you before we close out the show. 2 free tickets to next week's PIT. Name the last player from the PIT to be chosen in the first round of the NBA draft. And here's a hint. He's not just an NBA champion. He's an NBA champion from last season. That's for a couple of free tickets to next week's PIT. We'll give out a couple more through social media channels, too. Our other trivia question, Ed, go ahead and read it to us. What we got here for the other trivia here for 2 free tickets to the PIT?
All right, 2 free tickets, PIT coming. Name the NBA players this season with 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, and 500 assists. There's 3 of them?
That I'm aware of, at least 3 as of Tuesday night. There may be more than 3, but if you just name one of them, just one of these guys, you'll get 2 free tickets. But now, once we get more than one response, 2 out of 3 answers are pretty easy. Both Western Conference players. The one from the Eastern Conference who used to play in the Western Conference, not an easy name to figure out. I don't think Ed will get that answer. But take your stab at it, and you get 2 free tickets. All we do is need it once. If you win, we'll contact you back. We need your name and your email, and you'll get those tickets for next week's Portsmouth Invitational Tournament. So let us know. Players this season with over 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, 500 assists. To my knowledge, as of a couple nights ago, there was just 3 of them in the league. 2 of them in the Western Conference, 1 of them in the Eastern Conference. We'll come back and put the finishing touches on this latest edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk. The final one before next week's PIT over at Churchland High School. But another quick word from the sponsors that make it possible for us to stream with you and give you all the guests like Jermaine Woods, Chad Edwards, James Clark, and so many others right here on CoVA Sports TV. Stay tuned.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Portco is your local nonprofit organization dedicated to economic empowerment through employment for people with disabilities. We focus on abilities, not limitations, providing on-the-job vocational support. Find your pathway to employment. Contact us or learn more at portco.org.
I'm Dr. Mark Cardelia, orthopedic surgeon and surgical director of the CHKD Sports Medicine Program. We see a lot of knee injuries in student athletes these days, and many of these are ACL tears. Parents often ask how to know when a knee injury may be serious. The most obvious symptom is severe pain or swelling in the knee joint. Your child may have heard a pop when the injury occurred. Look for signs they can't put weight on the knee around 48 hours after the injury, or if the knee feels unstable or wobbly. Those are all signs you should see a CHKD sports medicine specialist. Our sports medicine physicians, surgeons, athletic trainers, and physical therapists understand the needs of growing athletes and tailor treatment to fit each child's age and level of activity. Our goal is to accurately diagnose the problem in a timely fashion and provide the treatment that will ensure a safe return to activity. Kids want to play, and we want to help them get back in the game. To learn more, visit chkd.org.
Second part of our doubleheader tonight, LeBron James going to play the game like this. Shirts and skins is what they're doing tonight.
I just totally 100% object to this. And if I was the GM or coach,
me too.
I would never let one of my players walk out on the floor looking like this. I mean, we are a professional NBA league. We ain't summer league. We ain't at the YMCA.
Listen, I think coaches got to go back to suits.
Absolutely.
I just mean.
Absolutely. I just think.
College and pro.
I just think the professionalism in our NBA league has diminished so much. And I look, I like LeBron. I'm a fan of his, so forth and so on. But to walk out on the floor before a game with no shirt on and shoot, I mean, come on, man. Where we at? What we doing? Where we at? Now, if you want to, Adam Silver, if you want to find somebody, find that. Put a fine on that.
Spoken by the Hall of Famer and the greatest player in Pistons history, Isaiah Thomas. Second half has begun between the Bucks and the Pistons.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Isaiah Thomas did not mince words about LeBron James 5 hours before tip-off, by the way, with nobody else in the arena. And far be it from me to be the guy that defends LeBron King James. I'm not the biggest LeBron James fans. But Zeke from Cabin Creek, settle down. Aren't you the same guy that's had your own issues off the court? And are you keeping that same energy going after Ja Moran doing bang, bang, bang grenades? And also other players in the league with their indiscretions, and Anthony Edwards in the locker room talking about tell all the gals in the world I'm the best player in the world. Are we keeping that same energy, or are you just trying to be Stephen A. Smith and get a headline and clicks, which he got from us? So there you go. I guess we're guilty for giving it to him. Again, I'm not crazy about him not having a shirt on, but it's fun. There's nobody in the arena, Ed. It's nobody there. It's not like he was doing, this is like the shoot around layup time. Calm down, Zeke. Calm down.
Yeah, I like Isaiah Thomas. People, here we go. It's the oldsters, the youngsters. It's people will look at him and say, man, get off your soapbox.
Did you see a soul in the arena besides LeBron? Nobody else was there.
My attitude towards that, and I'm picky. I will go ballistically crazy if I see a kid on my team in warm-ups. Now, listen to what I'm saying first.
Go ahead, because I'll have
I'm going to address what you said about LeBron.
Sure, go ahead.
If we're in the warm-up line or pregame out shooting around and they don't have their jersey on, they have an undershirt on, or their jersey's wrapped around their head, or they place it on the floor, even in practice, if they have their jersey off and it's on the floor wrapped around, and I walk on the court, oh boy, the team knows. And the team polices it. I don't have to worry about it because they know I go off on everybody. To me, it's a sign of disrespect. That's old school, I know. But you wear that jersey for a reason. Now,
I'll go a step further real quick. I'll go a step further. When athletes hit me up about their pictures, as you know, I take pictures at games, at 7-on-7 and team camps. When they ask me for their pictures and it's at a 7-on-7 or a team camp and they're shirtless, I won't – first of all, I try not to take those pictures. I don't give them those pictures because I don't want shirtless photos. We don't use shirtless photos of athletes. So that's another one. I'm not a big fan of it. But continue on. Go ahead.
But LeBron shooting without a shirt on and sweatpants, if there's nobody in the arena, 5 hours before the game, right. I don't really think I have a problem with it. I don't think I would. Because, I've had guys in practice, coach, can I get up a few extra shots? And they'll say to me, my practice top is really sweaty. I put it in a washer because I told them at practice, put them in a washer so managers can wash them. Coach said, all right, if I shoot without my shirt on. Yes, because it's end of practice, no problem. I don't have any problem with that at all. I really don't. If there's nobody in there. Now, if it's a league, because, it is eyes regardless, the league may have a rule that, hey, we don't use no shirts at all on game day, okay, I wouldn't really have that much of a problem with it. I don't think I would. I would be like, well, there's nobody in the arena. But once people start coming in, hey, LeBron, put something on. If you don't have your jersey top, can you put a top on, league policy, whatever. I can see we can have it on there. But, I don't like this comparisons, and we're getting it every day about when LeBron said, Giannis would score 200 points, 250 points in a game if he played yesteryear.
Which was a dopey statement by him.
Wilt Chamberlain would not be able to score 10 points a game in today's NBA. I'm tired of all that stuff. Who's better, Jordan or LeBron? Here's my attitude. I'll take Jordan 9.5 out of 10 times over LeBron.
Which is fine.
Done with.
Yeah, it's fine.
I didn't say LeBron isn't any good. And people, you're crazy. You're just going for because they're older and you don't like the new guy. I'm not getting into all that. You asked me opinion. I gave you my opinion. There's no need to keep comparing these guys from different eras. They're even in all the other sports in that too. And I understand, but I like to tell these youngsters, listen to the older guys, especially the players who have been through it. Okay, you're not quite where they were. Isaiah Thomas is a great player, whether you like him or not. He was a great player for Detroit and all that. But a lot of these guys aren't there yet. And I know it's the modern, you got to let their hair down. It's a different generation, blah, blah, blah. And I'm tired of hearing that too, because sometimes I say, being a teacher for 40 some years and working with young kids, that's why we have some of the issues we have. We got to back off. We got to let them express themselves. And then we lose discipline. Yeah, we lose the discipline. We lose the uniformity that needs to be done. And then we wonder why we have the issues and problems that we have. So I don't want to go crazy over it. I can see Isaiah to a degree, but a few years ago, the league put a rule in about how you dress coming into the arenas and coming to a game. Right. I guess that had slipped by because they'll show guys coming in and it'd be like, because I think when Shaq and Charles Barkley make comments, I'm dying because there's some guys wear stuff. I swear to God, they're doing it just on purpose for a reaction.
Sure.
Like, slippers on, they got a house coat on or whatever. I'm like, come on, people, what are we talking about? And and I was known as that coach that always dressed up with the expensive suits or whatever. To me, it was important to show that it's how I learned. Important. You distinguish yourself. Hey, this is a game day. This is important. For the kids. I'm not showing out for my own doggone self, but it's the idea of this is important. It's just the way I was raised as a young coach, and that's what I did. I'm not belittling people. I will get on coaches that got a hat on backwards and they look like they just crawled out from under a rock and during the game. That's a problem. Okay. And people say, no, you're spitting at AAU guys again. I said, no, I'm just talking about your dress code, your demeanor in a game. You're on stage. So therefore present yourself in that manner that you look somewhat like a professional when you're doing. I don't give a darn if it's high school, college, pro. Be somewhat a professional. So that's my 28 cents on all that stuff.
Just make sure you see the 47 on this, in honor of, so there you go.
That hat would actually look better because I don't know what the hell was on the front part, whatever they were put. What is on the front of the hat? I never.
For A, as they are awesome. The Arizona Diamondbacks. Let's get to, before we close out this show, that's the latest basketball bracket. We'll take it down for the ticker. So you can see, there you go, courtesy of our friends at Bleacher Report. OKC, Cleveland are the 1 seeds. Everything will be settled on Sunday coming up for the NBA playoffs. You have the play-in games coming up on Tuesday with Orlando and Atlanta. Chicago's going to play Miami in the 9-10. Sacramento's going to play Dallas in the 9-10. I think they're still waiting to see who has home court. The other situation, which I'll show on the screen now, this is really complicated, Ed, as we put it up on the screen. The 4-way tie scenario that could exist if Denver, the Clippers, Golden State, Minnesota all have the same record. Now, the Warriors play the Clippers on Sunday. The Nuggets go to the Rockets, who have nothing to play for. They've clinched the 2 seed. Lakers have clinched the 3 seed in the West. Minnesota has the Utah Jazz, who are fighting for the Cooper Flag sweepstakes of the first pick potentially. But remember, it's ping pong balls. Them and the Wizards have the worst record right now. There's your 4-way tie if it happens. They all equal the same, which that would happen is if you get the Clippers to lose to the Warriors and the Nuggets lose to the Rockets. Four-way tie, it becomes Wolves 4, Clippers 5, Warriors 6, Nuggets 7. If the Clippers win and the Nuggets win, you're going to get Denver in the 4. They'll beat the tiebreaker of Clippers because of their Western Conference record. And then your 6-7 will be decided by the head-up of Golden State, Minnesota, where Golden State would have the head-to-head, although I believe they're tied right now. So actually Golden State would fall to the 7 and Minnesota would be the 6. Still complicated, still fluid. But bottom line to me, the big takeaway from all of that is Houston's going to be the underdog in the first round as a 2 seed. Regardless of who they see in the 7 line, whether it be Denver, Clippers, Golden State, Minnesota, unless they draw Memphis, which could, again, as we showed on the screen, could win that tiebreaker game with the Wolves. So there you have it. I would like to have seen Knicks and Bucks as opposed to Pacers, Bucks, Knicks, Pistons. I think the Knicks beat the Pistons in 5. Very easy. And I think Pacers, Bucks is a rock 'em, sock 'em, drag 'em out 6 or 7 game series. Might hinge on Damian Lillard's health, availability, effectiveness against the Pacers, who last year did not have the home court but beat Milwaukee in 6.
Complicated. All those scenarios, I'm just going to wait for them to get through instead of trying to figure out what's
Not
up.
too complicated.
You know, I've kind of find myself being drawn towards Detroit for some reason. Watching them play, I kind of like them, except the crazy dude, Isaiah Stewart. Man, his wires are not connected in games. Man, he just waiting for something to go off on. And it's interesting. The Lakers and Warriors for sure will play first round. That's
No. If you listen to what I just said, that's not a for sure thing. Golden State still plays the Clippers tomorrow, and there is a scenario where they could be the 6 seed. Yes, but if they're in a play-in game 7-8 against Memphis, they will not be playing the Lakers because the Lakers play the 6 seed, whoever that's going to be. So a lot's going to hinge. The 2 big games on Sunday are Nuggets at Rockets and Golden State Clippers. That will decide a lot. But that 4-way scenario tie could play itself out. And Mike Malone getting canned was an absolute
I was just going to say, we didn't even bring that up.
What a joke.
My God. That Denver, I almost hope Denver loses everything from this point on, but that would be fair to the players. Number one, I think they're going to beat Houston tomorrow. I think that's
I think they will
sure.
too. Unless Ime Udoka wants to keep his guys fresh and play. I think they will. Warriors-Clippers is a toss-up, though. And the Clippers tried to blow it last night against the Kings if you watched it. They got really dicey down the stretch. James Harden, I mean, I can play that. We'll say that for later in the playoffs. I'm sure James Harden's going to have a mess up, and we'll play the clip from the guy from Bally Sports, which just absolutely was classic. He eviscerated him last year. But anywho, before we bid adieu, CoVA Sports TV Bracket Challenge. You see it on the screen. The winner was none other than Tate Resenbrink, or Tater Esenbrink. It's actually Tate Resenbrink. Congratulations to Tate. He was the grand winner. He gets the Outback gift certificate, $100. So congratulations to him. He was the winner. He had the best bracket of our 184 contestants. And you see he had the Gators. C. Croft 1's going to be our runner-up. And East Tennessee Gamecocks picks is number 3. All of them had Gators. You see, sorry to Judson, Coach D. Flowers, Harrison Montague, and Chadlock. They came close, but no cigar as far as winning it. And that's your bracket. Ed, I know you're curious to find out where Tate Resenbrink resides from.
I'm interested to know who is he? Is that his name?
That's his name, Tate Resenbrink. Congratulations. We should have got him on the show to talk about this. He is from Buffalo, New York. So our winner last year is from Utah, and our winner this year is from Buffalo, New York. I told you we're beyond the 757 in Virginia on this show.
That's great.
And
we are extending
runner-up,
ourselves.
I got to find out where the runner-up is from. CM Croft 1900 on the X or the Twitter. Congrats to him. Reach out to us if you're watching CM Croft. I'll reach out to you. We'll get you the $50 Dillard's gift certificate. Tate gets the $100 Outback gift certificate. And the runner-up, third place, East Tennessee Gamecocks. Reach out to us, East Tennessee Gamecocks. We'll get you that Virginia Preps Classic t-shirt in the mail as well. Those are the 1, 2, 3 finishers in the bracket challenge. Ed Young had a shot to finish in the top 3, but Duke let him down.
Yeah, when I lost, Tennessee lost to Houston, Duke lost to Houston.
Well, when Tennessee lost to Houston, you couldn't win the whole thing, but you could have finished third mathematically had Duke won, but that didn't happen. They decided to gag like dogs, and that was the end of you and your bracket. So there you have it.
Yeah,
Don't ask where I finished because it wasn't pretty.
No, it was. Yeah, I'm appalled as far down as you were. We had little kids pass you up who just picked based on teams' colors. I could not believe it. You must have been delirious. You might have. I'm going to put this. You might have had a bad. Looking at a certain game or two or three, and when you picked your bracket because you were out of character in your picks this year. I was just disappointed. You were out of character. Your mind must have been on something else, that maybe a donation you made to somebody or some group was on your mind because you donated more than you really wanted to, if you catch my drift.
I got your drift right here. Power right in a kisser. That's going to conclude this week's episode of 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Again, trivia. I haven't got any comments for the winners yet. 2 free tickets. If you can name the 3 players, any one of the 3 players, you win it. And we're also giving out a couple of free tickets if you can name the last NBA first-round pick from the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament. Let us know, and you get a couple of free tickets to the PIT, which is where we will be next week.
If these people don't come forward and want to win this, what are we doing with the tickets? Can we resell them on our own?
No. You don't resell them. It doesn't work that way. We will get winners. Don't worry. We will get winners. You get free tickets to the PIT. Let us know.
Get a hold of Matt Hatfield. Come tomorrow and say, hey, nobody won those tickets. I don't really know the answer. Can I get the tickets?
No, you got to give us the answer. That's how this works. We don't play that game. You don't play that game.
Get a hold of me. I'll give you the answer. Then you get a hold of him.
You don't even know the answer. You don't know the answer.
Say it out loud because
then you can guess either cases. I won't acknowledge if you're right or wrong. Go ahead. Take a stab at it. Take a guess.
Zach Edey has to be in there somewhere.
Zach Edey is not the answer, so you're wrong. There you go. Your boy Zach Edey is not with 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, 500 assists. It would take him about 50 years to get those numbers.
Oh no, he'll be in that category within 3. I guarantee.
God. He'll be out of the league within 4.
You speak in jest.
I don't speak in jest. I speak in truths. All right. We thank our wonderful guests today, which included the likes of Chad Edwards, Spotswood High School, BCAF president, Jermaine Woods, behold the green and gold, Norfolk State women's basketball coach, new head coach, and James Clark of 757 Soccer. Chad, if you missed any of the program, it'll be available for you archived on our playlist on CoVA Sports TV on YouTube, also up on VirginiaPreps.com. You can go back and check all the social outlets as well that you watch your program from. So that will do it. We will talk to you again next week, and we will have some exciting news to share here soon regarding this program and some new avenues to interact and view the program too. That's all forthcoming in the days and weeks to come. But enjoy your weekend, Ed. I know you're ready for some NBA playoffs, some PIT, and all kinds of fun jazz.
Absolutely. Some things are coming up, but we got to go see. And Yankees are playing today again. The Giants, the Gents. We got to. I'm wondering again.
Jermaine, James, and Chad. All of our guests today are Yankee guys like you.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. How about that?
If you
could have put a bet that said every guest today is a Yankee fan without knowing it ahead of time, which I did, man, you make some money.
Unbelievable.
Hey, when we getting those dolls in, man? When we getting our bobbleheads?
I don't know. When are you getting them? Obviously, I'm on the right. You're on the left. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, they made my head a little bit bigger and my ears bigger than normal.
Oh, your head's big, all right.
I'm going to be okay with it because it's a bobblehead. It's a caricature. I can't. But if somebody can get us those, or we can be able to, how about we could get those and then maybe give them out to the our fans. And hey, we're looking for a big time sponsor to get us some T-shirts, because when we drop the news about our show later, you're going to want to be a sponsor. And I'll just simply say, because you're going to get seen a lot. And I'll leave it like that.
That's going to conclude this week's episode. We thank you all for interacting with us, and we'll do it again with you next week on the 19th of April, as Ed says, Lord willing. It might be an abbreviated show depending on what my television schedule is, but what we would do, we also have the following week the NFL draft. So we'll do an NFL draft special like we did with the Sweet 16, like we did with the other drafts as well. So that'll be coming in the middle of the week the following week. So keep your eye peeled for that. Hit that like button, that share button, and most important, the subscribe button on CoVA Sports TV. Adios, amigos, and we'll do it with you next week. See you later, alligators.